been a while since we've been to school, so doesn't matter how we did it, but the Lord did it today. So we wanted to give you just a little background about this church. First of all, my name is... You can't hear me. It's in okay. My name is Sharon Thompson. I'm actually third generation on the island. My grandfather grew up here, used to do bulkheads, and he was responsible for the 14th Street fishing pier that before the addition was put on. They did the piling for that, so I'm third generation. And my grandmother used to worship at this church, a little bit of history of this church. This was the original worship building for, if you're familiar with St. Peter's United Methodist Church. This building was built in 1890, Carpenter Gothic style. And very quickly, about 10 years, they outgrew it. So they sold the building and they created the one that they have now. And a member of this congregation, who was also a wealthy businessman from Philadelphia, bought this structure and had it moved here. And it's been here ever since. So we are currently envisioning our ministry here. We had a little hiccup. If you're local, you know we had a 20-year leader who, at the end of his tenure, the building ended up in his private hands, and so we had a little court issue that we had to get the church back in our hands, and then we had a tax issue, because when it's in private hands, you owe taxes. And so, with the help of many of you, and this man here, who doesn't like to talk a lot, he spearheaded, he doesn't like to take credit for a lot, but he spearheaded really the fundraising campaign so that we could pay the taxes off. And then eventually, after we paid the taxes off, then we went to court again and the city refunded them. So this is a miracle, what you see here. Even the outside, we were just painted, if you notice that. About a year ago in August, our insurance came to us and said, if you don't paint it, we're going to drop you. And we're like, okay, what do we do? And I remember on Sunday, we had church that Sunday. It's like, if we don't have anything, nothing comes through, on Tuesday they're going to drop us. And after service, we had a local engineer. I don't know if he's here. I don't know if he wants me to say his name. But he gave us a load. And so that was Sunday. So I was able to tell our insurance on Tuesday and stop them from dropping our insurance. So I say all that to say what's going on here is a miracle. And we want to use this building. We think that it's every bit as important as like the 4th Street Savings Station, because it's the oldest church edifice here. And we would love to keep it open and open it for even community events. I would love to see it decorated in white for Christmas. And we just bought a tree. If you saw the blue spruce in the front, I'm waiting for it to get big enough so we can put lights on it. So anyway, so that's what's going on here. Currently, we have services once a month, and my distinguished brother, Reverend Tyler Thompson, is nice enough to perform the services. He's also associated with the service. Union Temple in Bridgeton, New Jersey. He comes once a month, and we have services at 4 p.m. because we don't want to poach from any of that. So if you want to come to a second service, we're here. Okay. Yes.
I motion they pass the plate so we can hear by your sign.
Pass the plate?
There is a donation basket in the back. We don't pass the plate here, right?
Well,
if you want to, you can.
Behind this gentleman here in the orange, there's a rather large basket, not because of
you can't lean towards full.
If you'd like to donate, we're more than happy. We'll take your donation here or by check. We're really old school. We just do checks. We don't have anything online. So thank you for that question. We are never shy. We pass a plate. Thank you. Okay. So thank you. So we're going to welcome you and pray. Okay. I wonder if my brother would pray.
Well, he is a professional.
He is.
Don't want to put any pressure on you.
Let's pray. Father, we're grateful for this time that we have. We're grateful for this great turnout, Lord. We're praying, God, that you would just now superintendent's meeting. Lord, you know what needs to happen. You know the needs of our city. You know the desires that are on Keith's heart. You know his passion for the city. And we pray, God, that as a result of this time and our time together, that we're able to accomplish some things that would be pleasing in your sight and that would allow the city to become what you intended it to be. We know long ago, from the very beginnings, Lord, there was much prayer that went into the things that are going on, or the things that have happened in the city. And we pray, God, that you would now use this time to refocus that, be with Keith as he leads the meeting. Lord, be with each and every one here. And Lord, bless our time together and let it be useful and practical to make this city all that you intended it to be. We thank you for this time. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
If everybody please stand so we can say a pledge of allegiance. Flags over here. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And again, I want to welcome everybody here. We do have some guests here. First, our esteemed Mayor, Jay Gillian, is here. Let's have Steiner, our business administrators here. When you have complaints, that's the guy. I'll just hand the mic to him. Dottie McCrossin is our solicitor. We have Sean Barnes, who's at large, councilperson. He also lives in this ward, by the way. We have Dave Winslow from the 4th Ward. We have Terry Crowley waving to me back there. He's from the 1st Ward. So I want to thank everybody for coming out. I have a very tight agenda. Oh, Jody, I didn't see. He's usually yelling at me. That's why I don't represent. I work for him. We have a very, very tight schedule today. I'm going to go over some zoning issues and those types of things. And what we'll do is we'll go over each issue that I want to discuss. And this all came from the campaign. Then we'll have questions on each issue. We'll take them one by one. Then we'll take general public questions. And then after that, anything else that you people want to discuss, we'll do. But I need to stay focused. I need to stay on a couple of issues to start. So the first thing I want to talk about is parking. Now, when I ran for office, I came out with a system that I call "5-5-5." And what I envision to try to do is if you have 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, you should have 5 parking spots. That's real nice until you have to talk to the state about it. Then it becomes a problem. Okay? Because there's a thing called veracity. And so what that actually is, it is the residential site improvement standard. Okay? What does that mean? Well, the state tells us how many parking spots we're supposed to have per residential unit. We don't tell ourselves. The state tells us. Okay? So, on a 5-bedroom home, the standard is 3 parking spots. So this kind of makes this a little bit more difficult until you realize that there's some things you can do about it. And what I propose is what they call a special area standard. In a special area standard, you can ask the state for relief and therefore have more parking available, okay? And so we're going to write that down. And my proposal is to make the second ward, just the second ward at this time, that area standard. And there's 4 elements that we can use to qualify. So this is a long process, okay? If in fact we decide to go that way. And they are the house itself, transportation, parking, and location. Okay? I should have been a doctor. My handwriting. So we have to address all these. So if we're going to go to the state and say, hey, we want to change our parking in the second ward, we have to meet standards here, okay? Let's start with location. We are the economic engine of this town, okay? From 4th to 12th Street's my ward, our ward, okay? You have most of the boardwalk in the ward. You have most of the bayfront in the ward. My favorite, the downtown, as you all know, okay? So you have a lot going on here. And all that requires parking, okay? So when you look at it, I think we're unique than any other ward because of everything we have going on. So that stretches the parking a lot here. And there's other wards. I'll take the 4 wards and looking at it. You know, they have neighborhoods where there's parking, right? You live in Bay Landing and there's parking. We never have parking here because we really don't have structured neighborhoods. We also have a lot of hotels, motels, guest house, all those types of things. So I think from the standpoint of the location, I think we meet that standard, okay? Parking. What they mean by that is additional parking. That would be like a parking garage. So if a city was looking to change the standard, but they had a bunch of parking garages, I don't think they meet the standard. I don't think anybody here doesn't think we have enough parking. We all know we don't have enough parking. So this one seems to be pretty easy, right? Then transportation. Again, what they mean by transportation would be mass transport. We don't have that. When we go places here, we ride our bike or we drive our car. We don't have buses, trains, and that type of thing. So a lot of this kind of is more about city. Now the last is the housing, okay? And this is where it kind of gets different because we're creating some homes, in my opinion, that are more for Airbnb use than it is for living use, okay? Now, I'm addicted to HGTV. I mean, and the $1 Million Lottery, I love that show because everybody gets their dream house, right? So when you watch that show, if you notice something, the 2 things they show the most is the kitchen, great room, and the master bedroom suite, okay? The master bedroom suite, you're going to have his and her closets, you're going to have a big ensuite, so on and so forth. When you look at a 5-bedroom, 5-bath home, that's not the case. If you have 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, folks, what are you really trying to do? You have 5 couples. Now they all get along, they all like each other. You got 5 couples, how many cars are you going to have? At least 5, right? So there's nothing wrong with the product itself, the idea. We want tourists to come here. We like to share our town, okay? But the problem is that standard of 3 parking spots doesn't cut it. So when I look at the housing stock that we have, I think we have a good case. So I think we have a good case on location, parking, transportation, and the housing itself. Just a couple examples. This house here is on a 50 by 90. It's a duplex, side by side, okay? It's listed as 5 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, but the downstairs was originally listed as a cabana, which has now been changed to a den. Folks, I maintain that generally speaking, somebody's going to sleep in that room. That's just life. I'm not saying anything we don't know. That happens. I've done that myself when I rented somewhere, so I know, okay? That's just kind of what happens. If there's a room and a bathroom, somebody's sleeping in it, okay? Now, so the downstairs, believe it or not, has a pool. The pool's kind of small. Here's the garage. If you look close into the garage, it really would only park 1 car, because of where this beam is, okay? So I'm not sure that even gets 3 parking spots. Somehow you might be angled in that way to get to the 3, I'm not sure. So now what you have, in my opinion, is 6 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms. Now, what I want to say to folks, and this is the most important thing I'm going to tell you, this is not the fault of the realtor. This is not the fault of the developer, okay? This is not the fault of the architect. It's my fault, okay? Because I'm on city council. So, without going backwards, we voted for things in the past and somehow this got created. I don't know how exactly. My job is to go backwards, look at it, and try to come up with a solution, okay? Because development is the key to our city. The ability to redevelop, as the mayor will tell you, or George will tell you, that's what pays our bills and keeps our taxes low. So, folks, I'm not here to stop development. What I am here to do is just make it work a little bit better for the neighborhood, okay? This was my first house that I looked at about 2 years ago where I thought it was problematic. They can squeeze 3 cars here. It's really tight when I drive by. Obviously, you have the garage. It's probably not being used as a garage, but just go along with that. You have the pool, that type of thing, okay? So again, that's 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms. You're going to have 5 cars. You should see them squeeze the 3 in, okay? So again, I think it's good business to have 5 cars with 5, to be able to park. Because what's going to happen if you're renting this and 5 couples come, 3 can park and 2 are running around looking for a spot, okay? And so this goes on and on, okay? And there's a lot of other examples. So the first thing I'm going to try to do is sit down with the mayor, Dottie especially, because this is her bailiwick, how to do these things. She's very good at it, by the way. Actually, when I was not elected, she was my attorney when I tried to build a car wash. And we got approved, but I ended up not doing it, thank God. And I'll be working with George and the mayor as well to see if we can go ahead and at least make an application to see if it's a possibility that we can turn this around a little bit. So that's number 1. Number 2, on the short haul, I do have a solution. This is very, very strange to me, but I was calling around some other cities and I said, listen, I have an issue with non-conforming lots, smaller lots, no alley access. What are you doing about it? They said, well, we're going to do what you're doing. No one's ever accused us of fixing the zoning and parking problem yet. You know what I mean? No, I'm like, what we're doing? What? And this person was a planner. I said, oh yeah. And he talked to me about this. Now, this is a home, there's 2 of them side by side, okay? I was on the planning board when we approved this. And what this was a 86 by 56 lot. So they wanted to subdivide it, but they had to come to us. We approved it because the developer, 1, was going to live in it, but 2, more importantly, he knew that he had to give us more parking, and he did it on his own, right? I was worried about the appearance of this when I did it, but I thought, you know what? Let's try it and see what happens. But then I forgot about it until I talked to a planner from another town saying, hey, this is a good idea. So think about it. I'm not requiring you to park your car here, but it just happens to work out great that you could park your car here. So this was a 3, 2.5, and a den. The den later became a walk-in closet. Some of you might know people that need big walk-in closets. Myself, my partner in life owns 5 clothing stores. We keep buying houses. Excuse me?
Sit down.
Yeah.
Then I can't, then
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
okay, now I can't see.
this would park 4 cars. So if, in fact, there was 4 bedrooms, 4 cars would park, right? So this actually, when the planner told me that, I immediately got in the car and drove by, and I was amazed how good it looked. Because I was worried that cars underneath wouldn't look good. Couple key things about this design. Number one, I like the fact that the steps are not encroaching. I like the fact that it's closed like this. Why? It gives it more of the home feel and touch. Now here's the beauty of it. This room here is 8 feet by 20 feet. The rest of this is open. So what I'm saying is on certain lots, and I'll have to work with Dottie on this to figure out how we could do this, because I don't have all the answers. She doesn't probably either. We'll have to sit down and really look at this. But I think that we can use this in places where you have a lot, smaller lot, no alley access, okay, and a non-conforming. And that's what this is. This was non-conforming, no alley access, and a smaller lot, okay? So I maintain that if we went with this design here, then this would be all parking. We'd have to put something up so they don't run in the pool, obviously. But if this bottom was all parking, I maintain that it would go a long way to solve the problem, okay? And I like the look. Because the problem comes, folks, when you enclose something. The minute it closes, it can become just about anything. And yes, I'm guilty of being in somebody's house and it's a barn and a garage, just full disclosure, okay? So, by leaving this open, you do not allow for it to become anything what was intended to be. So you have a beautiful area to go up into the house itself, and then some storage area, okay? So this is something that I'm going to try to work on immediately, and then the Rossi issue is something that I'm hoping to work on in the long term to solve the problem. So again, the Rossi issue to me is a second ward issue. This could be throughout the city, or it might be in just some zones. That I do not know yet. I know I need it in the historic district more than anything, okay? Because in the historic district, what happens is, if you have a non-conforming house, it comes down, and that's what this is, and something like this goes up. Now, it's a beautiful home, historical, no question about it. We just need to get more parking. And again, that's our responsibility, nobody else's. Not the developer, not the realtor, not the architect, okay? And that's a very important distinction to point out, all right? So, that's two ways to look at parking, okay? Now, I also want to look at some quality of life issues, and one of them is our dumpster ordinance. What I'd like to say about dumpsters is I would like to have them off the street from Labor Day, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, okay? If they can be off the street. There are places that they can't be off the street. Now, size-wise, if it has to be on the street, I like to see a 10 cube. So it doesn't take up 2 spots. All right? And in my mind, if I say you have to use a 10 cube on the street, then what will happen is the developer may find a way to put the dumpster on the lot itself. So I'm going to ask council to support me in the dumpsters, not on the street, unless absolutely you have to, and there are times that they have to be on the street. The 10 cube. I'm also going to ask the council to support me on taking trailers. All trailers have to be up on the property itself, taken home at night, and all work trucks taken home at night. And these, I go door to door, I've been in a lot of people's living rooms here. These are things that people have really had the most complaints about. There have been estimates at times of 700 or 800 spots on the whole island would open up. It's just a simple adjustment of where we put dumpsters, where we put trailers, where we put work trucks. There are other towns that have done this. The closest one's Margate. Oh, by the way, Tony Molchini's back there. He came in too. He's a large councilman. Just wave at everybody. So, those are very important issues to me that I think that we can immediately start to work on them. The reason why I'm presenting them to you is because without your support, it means nothing. I've been doing this 16 years, and the best piece of advice I ever got was from my first city clerk, Cindy Griffith. You know what she said to me? She said, Hartzell, stop being lazy and go find out what people really want. Because I would start making decisions on what I thought was correct. We can't do that as politicians, okay? So this is why I'm going to have these meetings. This is why I'm Zooming them. This is why I'm Facebook Living them. Because I want everybody that pays taxes in my ward to have a say. I don't care if you don't vote here. I'm not even going to ask you that. What I care about is that you spend your money here, you get taxed here. If you second homeowners, God bless you. 70% of you, God bless you. I mean, you spend your money. And although you can't vote, you need an equal voice. And I will always, 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 always give you that equal voice. Okay? Now, I have two other parts to the program. I'm very blessed in this ward to have community activity. Now, what do I mean by that? The first group that I've gotten involved in was called Plaza Place Association. It's a civic association. It's not a political association, okay? So they don't support candidates. But what they do is get together, they have bylaws, they have meetings, they have a social tonight. We're going, right? We have a big social tonight. And they talk about things, and if they feel that they want something in their neighborhood, then they come to us. Well, for me, a politician, it's the greatest thing in the world. I go to a meeting and there's 40 families there. You know, so now I get to talk to 40 families. There's also a group, Old Home Lovers, over 8,000 people in it. It's the same thing. They'll have a meeting. I might talk to 100 people, okay? This is so important to me, okay? And then we have another group on 10th Street, and they have 22, 23 homes involved. And I can go talk to them. So what I'm saying to people is, two of these groups will get up and speak for 5 minutes apiece. Later in the year, I will have somebody from Plaza Place come in and tell you how they put a neighborhood association together. Whether you're in my ward or any ward that you're in, a neighborhood association will be the most helpful thing for us on council, okay? Because we can address issues, and when you run and you go door to door, you go to voters, obviously, because you're trying to get votes. A neighborhood association gives the second homeowner the same placement as a voter does. And I want to see as many neighborhood associations as possible. So the first one, I'm going to have Bill come up real quick, and he's going to speak for 5 minutes about his group.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So I'm Bill Barrett. I'm one of the founders of Friends of OC&J History and Culture. So I wanted to cover, first, thank Keith for the opportunity to talk to you today, and also thank him for his support of the Old Home community. It's been tremendous. So what I wanted to cover today was 4 things. One, what's our mission? Second, how we got started. Third, what we're up to. And then last, just one quick comment, because I had a couple of people ask me a question about where to live, and I know we want to keep most of that to the end. So what's our mission? It's basically in our name, right? So we're Friends of OC&J History and Culture. So what our job and mission is to embrace and celebrate the rich history and culture of this town, with a particular emphasis on the architecture in the old homes. It really is it's an amazing place, and a lot of people think every old home has been bulldozed in this town, and that's not true. There are thousands still in this town. So, and Friends is also an important part of our title, because that's how we intend to operate in the town. We intend to reach out to other organizations, whether it's the high school, the theater, the music pier, and embrace what they do, help them do what they do, and build a greater community of communities on the island. Okay. So that's our mission. How we got started, so Richard Barth started a Facebook page, which many of us may be members of, and a bunch of us used to just watch the pictures as they scrolled across every day. Then we started messaging each other on that platform, and then one day we decided to come out from behind our phones and computers and actually talk to them. Amazing, right? And we had Zoom meetings, and then we started having meetings at each other's houses, because we realized we had a shared cause, which was to bring better appreciation and awareness of the old homes in this town. And that gave rise to launching the not-for-profit that we have today over the summer. So that's our mission, and that's how we got together. So what are we up to? So I'd say it's really, we break our activities into 3 groups, right? So first is called identification. And it goes back to my point of there are tons and tons of old houses on this island, and still concentrations, be outside of the historic district, which we all may be aware of. So Alan is driving our inventory project, and we're building a database that will include, how old your house is, pictures of your house, and so that people can go in and query about, places they own or want to buy on the island. So it's a very important part of our project, and we're licensing in data from around the state and country to build that database. If anybody has pictures of old homes, please get them to us because we can import that into our database. So that's the first part of what we're up to. The second is really the most important, that's celebration. So we want to get people involved in appreciating these assets. So we run, the very first thing we're going to do, or one of the first things we're going to do, is roll out a marker program. And that's basically, we're going to put the birth date on your house. It's an incredibly powerful way to get across the history of the island. When you walk down the street and you see 1912, 1940, 1935, you get a sense of how long and what the history is of this town. So we will be rolling those out, samples in the next month or so, and then we'll begin to get them out to people. We're still working through the economics of that, but I think we got a model to get it out to any old home. And in our mind, old is anything before 1960. This is not just, I'm old. So the marker program, very important part of our celebration strategy. Second is tours. So we're going to sponsor a variety of tours throughout the island. So we had a historic garden tour over the summer in August. We had over 200 people sign up for that. It's fantastic. It's amazing what people can stuff on these very small lots on the island. We have a holiday house tour that will be December 7th and 8th. We actually a group of us had that last year. Over 400 people attended that. We also just finished filming a documentary of the Plaza Place, which Keith talked about. An incredible asset on the island. And the Moreland Theater has agreed to let us premiere it there. We're going to do that hopefully on the weekend of the Fall Fair. It's a college student that's doing the work for us. He's doing a great job. I just got to make sure he doesn't fail out his first semester. So we're trying to moderate what we
Be sure he's his professor.
And we're going to create other tours. There's places like Pleasure Avenue. I love the alleyways of Ocean City. They're fascinating. So the last piece is, in terms of what we're up to, it's community and connection. Owning an old house can be daunting. It's breaking all the time. And so creating a community of people that you can reach out to help you, or cry on your shoulder, or just get some ideas is great. But also to create connections between people who may want to sell their old home, and they want to make sure it lands in the right hands, or they want to buy one. A lot of transactions in this town happen without notice to people, and I think we want to change that. We want to get the old houses into the hands of old homeowners. So creating those connections in community is really important to us. So that's what we're up to. And last, just 30 seconds on Wonderland, because a bunch of people asked me on the way in, because a little of that history and culture, so where's our view there? Ours is very straightforward. We've reached out to council, we've appeared before council. We just want a fact-driven, unbiased, open, transparent process around Wonderland. That's all we want. Our view is that it's a critically important asset. It's historic, it's iconic, and it's incredibly important to the economy of this town. But let's let the facts drive us to the right location. But we think that that's correct, and we don't think just because somebody arrives with a sack full of money that should change. Thanks so much, and thanks.
Now, some of the things that Bill talked about has actually went into action. So for you that know the ward very well, 615 Wesley was in major disrepair. And some people who, and I don't even know if the group was formed at this time, but a bunch of us got together. Long story short, some of the things that Bill just talked about, we networked since we found somebody to buy the house and save the house. And that's really the goal here. I'm a preservationist, I love old homes. And we have a history. And the work that Bill's group's going to do is open up the pipeline to find people that want to preserve that history. And it's a lot of work because it's a special thing. You know, a realtor puts something up for sale, they sell it. They're not responsible for trying to figure out to get somebody there. That's, you know, they're just going to sell the house. That's their job. So by having a grassroots organization that can help people along, because the way the rules work, if somebody doesn't buy the house in X amount of time, it goes down. So it just gives some time to make sure that we've done everything possible to preserve that home. Because if we hadn't preserved that home, this is what they were going to get, okay? So again, it looks beautiful. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying, if you get an opportunity to go by 615 Wesley, you're going to be blown away. This used to be a place called Cuckoo's Nest, and I think they were cuckoo. Well named. But it's just beautiful. What do they call it now, Bill? The Genevieve. And it's just beautiful. It's breathtaking. And that's what's so important about a group. And then I will continue at every meeting to encourage people that are like-minded to get together and create groups. And there could be a group that hates old homes. That's okay. You can come up and tell us. Okay? No, everybody has a voice. And there could be people saying, we'd rather knock them down. That's okay. Anybody can come in here and request to speak. Okay? These guys wanted to come in and speak, and so they are. The next is Bob from 10th Street.
Back here. Keith has me on the clock, so I'm going to read a lot from notes, but I'll put that up there. My name is Bob Hellier, and my wife and myself live at 34 West 10th Street. And coming to you today, first I want to thank you, Keith, for allowing us this time to share our concerns on Glen Cove Lagoon. So we formed a group called Concerned Citizens for Glen Cove. I'm going to give you a little history about Glen Cove. This is Glen Cove here. It's the smallest cove in Ocean City. It's between 10th Street and Walton Place, and it's bordered by Bay Avenue. And some of you, if you've been driving on Bay Avenue, have seen some signs that said, "Stop the marina, stop the marina." So I just want to share about the history of this project and asking for your help in that. So on April 21st, 1923, the homes closest to the mouth of the lagoon in this area right up here received a certified letter from the Highland Group. Clean sweep. Here, how about if we go over here? Perfect, I'll stay in the way. So we received a certified letter from the Highland Group, and it provided us with legal notice that the owner of 110 West 10th Street applied to the New Jersey DEP for a development permit to put in a 10-slip large boat marina on this site, and this site would be this site right here. The notice gave us 2 weeks to reply with comments or objections. So quickly, we notified the lagoon owners, and we hired a lifelong resident engineer to put together our letter of objection to this project. Our engineer noted that this property was never a marina, and it was verified by public record. He also noted the negative impact that the commercial development would have on the use, the safety, and the navigation of our lagoon. So on August 24th, 2023, we received a notice from the DEP that the permit was approved. But it was conditional on the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and also the local town. And the DEP never responded to our engineer's letter. It just was a blanket approval. So on April 4th of this year, we received a completed application from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And it gave us a 30-day comment period. So this is when we got our community together, houses on both sides of the street there. Many letters were submitted. Many people went to council, as council is familiar with us over those months, to voice our opinion on this project. Even some letters were secured from people outside of the community, people that found out about it that were on other lagoons in on our island. Even some residents hired legal counsel to share their concerns for that project. To date, I want to let you know we have not received any feedback yet from the Army Corps of Engineers. I just spoke with the project manager recently, and he said they're still reviewing all of the comments. I want to make sure I get through it. Oh, at very least, if the project is not denied, then the Army Corps of Engineers is required to have a public forum here in Ocean City to further discuss this project. So if this project is approved in our lagoon, it could set a precedent that almost in any residential area, on any of our other 7 lagoons, that they could also pursue commercial development. Our residents are concerned for the future use and development of our lagoon. And this summer, some of our lagoon owners have received complaints even from some boaters and jet skiers that have been going by that have seen pieces of wood that have been floating. There's a dock area right here that looks good from the picture from last year, but the entire dock is deteriorated. Pieces of wood are floating around. The boaters were concerned, and they've notified some of our people. So I've asked to share these concerns with the community. I want to keep you guys up to date on what's happening. I have a separate sign-up sheet if you're interested in hearing the future development and how the Army Corps of Engineers responds and what the next steps are. I'd be glad to talk with you after the meeting. So, thank you.
So whether you're for or against something, any group is welcome to come in. So if there's a group that's for the marina, they're more than welcome to come in and give a presentation. So this is an open forum. So anytime that you feel you have a group of people or something that you want to talk about, you just get a hold of me and I'll schedule into a meeting. So I think that what you can see here is there's people grouping together saying, hey, this is what we want a voice. Whether we agree or disagree, it's America. And I think it's very important. And I hope that all of you are encouraged to go back in your neighborhood and say, maybe we have some issues in our neighborhood that we would like to talk about. And I think that you'll be pleasantly surprised that your ward councilman and your at-large councilman will really like that. Because with Plaza Place, we get invited, we go, right? And we learn a lot. In Plaza Place, they build a movie about it. I'm in it too. And it's breathtaking. And I really didn't even know it existed. And it's unique. And they had concerns about their neighborhood. And you know what? The mayor's addressed them. All right? So it gets addressed because you do get attention. And we don't have ESP. So we don't know what's on your mind unless you tell us. And some of you are real good at it, and other ones aren't. So I'm trying to make you all real good at it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back and kind of summarize what we've said. So on the Rossi and this type of development, does anybody have any questions? Come on up. Come on. You can speak to the mic. You can speak from there.
Is there a restriction on height?
You gotta speak up.
Is there a restriction on height?
So that's it. The height, there is restrictions on heights, okay? But, and we're not going to get too deep on this, but how much higher do you think stuff's going to go with the state now? Do you know or don't know?
It could, they're proposing as much as 5 feet.
Yeah, they're proposing as much as 5 feet. But every zone has a height limit, right? And they're not all equal, correct? There are different zones that have different heights. So, but when something like this is built, yes, it still has to be under the height. I don't know if we want houses to go up another 5 feet or not, but we're probably not going to have a choice. And that actually further, in my mind, would make this even a little bit better. Does anybody else have a question? When I come up, or just...
You take that, and then I'll walk.
My question is on the parking, housing, or the parking regulations. Where do pools fit into that? Because on our street, we have 4 pools that have been put into homes that were already there, and certainly that impacts parking. You can't park on a pool. So where does that fit?
Well, people have tried to do that. Not me. So, if I do the Rossi and we apply and we get it, right? If we all agree to do it and we apply, it's still going to be 555. So the developer's going to have to figure it out, okay? And that's the beauty of it, because the only way you can make this work, okay, is in fact to have that Rossi passed. Here, if that lot was big enough, they could put a pool in. Because all I'm asking is that the hole underneath is open. Now, they don't have to park there. I'm not requiring them to park there, but it makes really good sense. Now, you're going to love this. Not everybody parks in their driveway. This is one of my favorites. Okay? You got the furniture out? So that's one of my favorites. So we're not forcing people. So if this lot was wider or deeper, and they could put a pool in, they could. And if they wanted to put a tiki bar in here on the cement, they could. Okay? So, because they can have only be parking requirements met, but I still have this open. Okay? So now if you have company, you're good. If we're able to go to this will immensely change our parking in this town, immensely. And so far, everybody I've showed it to, not one person said it's not a good idea. So, can I raise a hands of how many people think this is a good idea? Okay, that's good. Good.
What's going to stop
So it's not, okay? But I can't force people to do things. But if it was me, it's just common sense. I mean, there's always going to be somebody that doesn't do it. My dad always used to laugh because we moved somewhere and the people moving next door were always slobs. Like, will you stop picking the house? So there's only so much you can do. But I still think that this is viable, it's beautiful, and I talk to the people that live there, and they love it because they pull in, they take their groceries up, and it's just very, very functional, and it's beautiful. And I just think if we can incorporate this in some of our areas, our parking situation goes away.
What is the address of that so people can go by and see it?
I'm not going to give out addresses.
It's on the house. Bay Avenue.
It's on Bay Avenue. I'm not. Yeah, I don't want to give out addresses. That's a little over the top.
The other thing is, a lot of this started after Sandy, and we went up to the 4th floor. I call it the 4th floor. They call it the 3rd floor. You had the parking. Before that, we only could go up 3 floors. After Sandy, the zoning was changed that we could go up. And as we're talking about, it's going to go up even further. So we could get maybe 5 floors at this point. Thank you. But the other thing I'm concerned about is on the square footage of a house. And what you have now is a 30 by 50 foot lot that basically can have, let's say, 2,400 square feet. Well, there should be a limit to how much square footage should be based on the lot size. And if it's 30...
That will be another meeting. Right now, I'm just going to focus on this. If you have a question, in the essence of time, ask the question. Statements, give it to me later. I just need a short question that I can answer, and we'll be here all day. Okay? Who's next? Right here.
We need you to use the mic just so that people on Zoom can hear you. So that's why I'm running around the mic.
Ah, got it.
May Phil Donahue rest in peace.
So I have two questions. Number one, I have a home that currently has a shed, but it's an older home and considered a tear down. Would I be allowed to build a garage in that same footprint of the shed, but without triggering the need for all the additional zoning requirements and raising my home? Now, that might be something you haven't considered yet, but it would certainly increase my parking dramatically.
Maybe.
That's something to consider, and
It depends. It depends.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take specific zoning questions.
Yeah, but
We can do them afterwards because I've got a lot to go over. So if you have a specific zoning question about your house, I'll be glad to take it afterwards, and I'll be glad to talk to Dottie about it. Right now, I've just got to focus on questions about this. Okay,
And
just
my
got to
second
focus.
question is, will Ocean City have any possibilities of, for example, lots where numerous cars can park and then additional trolleys or additional busing so that there's not going to be so many tourists trying to park right by the boardwalk, but by having these further out lots, that can certainly solve some of that problem.
That's another issue that I won't address here, but
Not
I
on the
will.
radar yet. Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to that for sure, but I need to really stay focused. I don't want people here all day. You have things that you want to do. I need to focus on this and this. Just, if you have a question, not a statement, but a question on either this or this, because we have a lot to go over, folks.
A question. The amusement park, Gillies. This is the reason why we're here.
Sir, I'm going to talk about it. Sir,
What is your plan in that?
I'm going to talk about that. I have an agenda here. I have to go through it. Folks, please be respectful. Okay? We're going to talk about that. But right now, I have to go through these things. Okay? So we will talk about it, but I want to stay focused on questions concerning this and this. Otherwise, we'll be here all day, and no one wants to be here all day. I need to move the meeting along the best that I can. Somebody has a question over here? Yes.
Okay, that's a great idea, and that'll take years and years and years before people will get the effects. So that's a great idea, parking-wise, lots of years before we ever see a satisfaction to parking. How does Ocean City deal with cramped parking now? I live on 10th Street. In the summertime, you can't find a place to park. And people are parking on the sidewalk. People are parking in front of your driveway. You can't get out of your beautiful little location because people are parking there. What is our recourse right now for illegal parking? Nobody comes to the rescue.
So, no, you can call the non-emergency number, and the police have been very responsive. So it's not an emergency. The non-emergency number is 609-399-9111. And I can tell you categorically that they do come, they do answer. So I've had very good success. Our new chief is fantastic. Great job. So that all you do is you call the non-emergency number. Somebody will take the call. They will send somebody out.
All right, so I have to run to the Acme, and I got to make that phone call. And it might take a couple of hours before somebody actually finds the person who owns that car. It's very complicated. Good idea, but
That's the best I can
another
do.
kind of regulation.
It's the best I can do. Back there, Sheriff.
I have a question and it's enforcement. We have a master plan that's voted on by council and it's an ordinance. Then a builder comes in, knocks down a house, and he wants to build a house there or a shop or whatever. It calls for a 6-foot setback. They go into the planning board and say they want 1 foot and they get a grant. you get the right same attorney that is batting 1,000% of the planning board. You can make all the master plans about heights and widths and how many setbacks, but if you don't enforce the rules, it's useless.
So these two things are a start for me to get these passed so that we can get there. Now, in future meetings, I will talk about setbacks, okay? I will talk about lot coverage. But as you can see, this is a lot. So I tried to start what I thought was something that people would embrace. It would be easy to get support, from our council. So I try to go with things that make common sense. Down the road, I will address every issue. Each meeting will be 1 or 2 issues about lot sizes or whatever it may be, okay? So I will do that. But, Rome wasn't built in a day, and I can't do it all in one day. But I think that these two will go a long way to correct the problem. Because what will happen is when you have to do 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, 5 parking spots, it's automatically going to shrink the house a little bit. And that to me, is a good idea. So, and it might change the house when the person says, you know what, I'll go with 4 bedrooms. So we just got to create parking. That's mainly what I'm trying to do. Any other questions on this?
Just one question, Keith. Specifically, what do you want us to do to give you support for this? What do we need to do if we support it?
We're in a church, right? No. So I'll be sitting, I have a meeting with the mayor and George and the council president and vice president on Monday. I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit. This isn't news to George. I've spoken to him about this before. And Mike Allegretto, he knew this was coming. And I just think, as we go, we'll keep you abreast of where we're going with this, what we think we can do, what we can't do. And, in presenting it, it looks easy, but I'm sure Dottie's going to tell me immediately after here, it's going to be a lot of work. That's why she makes the big bucks. She's very good, and she won't leave any stone unturned, and she'll explain to me both the pros and the cons, because they're all pros right now, but there'll be cons. That's her job. Her job's to go through it with a fine-tooth comb, and we'll keep you informed. I'll do press releases as we go. I'll also be on my page. The other thing is a lot of council people are here. You should email your council people and as time goes and say, I like this concept. I want this concept. Now remember, the Rossi part I really can only do in the 2nd ward because I'm not sure the rest of the wards qualify for that. They could go in other zones. And that's what I think is going to be fascinating as I talk to Dottie and get her assistance on whether or not I can do this. It's going to be zone driven, I would think. Wouldn't you think? Yeah. So it's going to be, because there's zones it's not necessary. I mean, Ocean City Homes, it's fine. You know what I mean? So I have to be careful that I'm not putting these in places where it's making the neighborhood worse. All right. I have to put it in places where it makes the neighborhood better. Okay, and realistically, if you don't live in Ward 2, ward guys, they're the best. I was at large. You don't get as many calls unless the ward guy stinks. We have good ward guys, and they're your first line of defense when you have a question. I know Dave handles a ton of calls. They all got Jody. I see it all the time, and Terry does. And that's really where to go initially is talk to your ward person. Do you have any more questions on these two things here? Any questions about dumpsters and
On with the important thing. Keith, what are the chances of reducing the size of the yellow lines that are in town that would increase parking tremendously?
Dottie, yellow lines, that's a state issue, right?
The curbing?
Yeah.
The painting?
Some are like 20, 30 feet.
Yeah, the police department.
No, can it be changed? What's his question?
It's state law.
State law.
We can look at it and make sure it's done correctly.
There's not
but-
visibility if you make there's more access.
Okay, so now we'll go to open mic time. If you have a non-Wonderland concern, raise your hand. Is anybody?
Okay,
All right.
you
I'm going to take the non-Wonderland concerns first, and then I'll do the Wonderland concerns, okay? So, okay. Peter?
Keith, first of all, I want to thank you for having this meeting. I think it's also great that the mayor and George and Dottie and Councilman come up with something. I got an issue that seems to be not addressed, and now it's at a critical stage. And this lady on 10th Street is not aware of this. So everybody knows the large parking lot at 10th and Ocean. 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, they got approval to build a 100-room condominium on that property. We're 4.5 years in. It's a critical stage because after 5 years, they lose all the plans and they have to start over. The Heckler brothers are desperate. They're dealing with a builder right now. The engineers have contacted me. The builders have contacted me. And Park America has contacted me that they received a letter that they might not be doing parking next year because they won't have a new owner of that lot. If we lose that parking lot, Keith, it's going to be a disaster. I look at this plan here, and Dottie's here. To give you 5 parking spots for 5-bedroom, that's going to be a miracle. They're building.
We're in a church.
They're building a 100-room hotel, and they got approval of 1 parking space for each 3-bedroom unit. We have 152 deeded spots. They're going to have 100 units. There's only 400 spots approved. There's going to be no parking for boardwalk merchants for this city. 10th Street, 11th Street, and the middle of this town is going to be a nightmare. So we just bought 44 spots, $3.3 million. I think that's the number, if I'm correct. Supposedly, the Heckler brothers will take $12 million for 300 spots. And I don't think anybody has even talked about it in council, or anyone is even aware of the situation. But I think it's something that the city better look at carefully, or you're going to lose a heck of a town. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. The mayor wants to jump in, and I was going to ask him to do so, like mine.
See how nice when we work together. Where's Pete at? Pete, this is what negotiations, this is what's tough when with the administration we go look at different things. And again, so we've been looking at this for multiple months. I don't think they're going to take what you said. So, and this is the one thing I've said to everybody. Everybody goes on social media, they talk to their best friend, everybody thinks they know what they're talking about. So when it comes to Soul Lake Project, a lot of misinformation around here, but we agree, it's something we've been talking about for a long time, and what can we do? We were talking about, a couple months ago, people that had didn't seem like they bothered to spend 30, 40, 50 million on a parking garage. I know people are upset, that we'd even think about that because we have a lot of work to do. But at the end of the day, I can tell you, administration-wise, we're talking with them, we're working with them, and I believe even more than anything, if that parking lot, we lose that, that's a hell of a loss, and especially if that end of the boardwalk, because again, you see what's happening at 6th Street. So again, it's a whole different world now, guys. And so it's, when people come in here and they do things years ago, I mean, how long ago was that done? 20 years ago, I think?
Oh yeah, 2004,
Were you on
2000.
council?
No.
I'll say we can't blame you.
Finally, I'm not at fault.
But on seriousness, because it's not a joking matter, but everything we've been talking about today, we take very seriously. But we have to take the time and get the facts and information before we become public. So, but we're looking at good.
What on that real quick? I don't think everybody was aware of the information I gave. That's not from social media. That's from contacts to me, from an engineer, from a builder.
Again, I'm not debating how you got your information, because I'm not degrading or dismissing everybody. I'm just saying the general thing is everyone has an opinion, and 9 times out of 10 it's usually wrong. A little bit right. But then that's what gets all the anger and all the things going on. But at the end of the day, that property has been on the administration's site since I've been mayor. And it's been going back and forth. And the problem is because they have the approvals, that's what makes the money. That's why it's so. So like you said, if the 5 years and the appraisals are going, and whether they're desperate or not, but it's still a big chunk of land down there. So the city's definitely looking at it. And when we get to a point, we're going to go to council, see what they say, and if they want to do something, then we'll come to the public.
Thank you, Mayor. Another, right here.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to ask a general question regarding city council. Is there ever going to be an opportunity for you to continue all meetings in person? I mean, you have the Zoom meeting and you have one evening meeting. I don't understand why they can't all be in the evening, or I'm sorry, you have a 10 o'clock meeting rather in the morning. Many of us work, and we are full-time residents, and we're not able to attend some of these meetings. So in full transparency, can you please have these meetings in the evening so those of us who do work or live here or don't even live here and do want to attend after work and come into the city can attend?
Okay, I agree with you, but I got to get other people to agree with you. Honestly, if it was up to me, I'd like to have a 10 o'clock Saturday morning city council meeting, only because then everybody can go. But that's just me. That's my personal thing. I don't know if that applies or not.
Thank you. I'm a resident on Walton Place, and thank you, Bob, and thank you for adding us to the agenda on our lagoon. I know it doesn't refer to everyone here, but we have 24 homeowners, and there's a lot of us here today. This has been going on for quite some time. As Bob said, it's the smallest lagoon in all of Ocean City. It's always been residential. The proposed pier there, marina, is 10 docks or 10 boats, 35 foot long. I have a 21-foot boat, and the boat has to be turned around. The boat has to be turned around doing a K-turn in that lagoon. It's the only original man-made lagoon in Ocean City. Always has been residential. There are kids and people on paddle boats and people swimming and rafts and all. I ask you, has the council been to our lagoon? I know you haven't, thank you for that. To see how this is really a residential area and 10 docks with 35-foot boats in there is not right for this area.
Okay.
So I invite the mayor, please come, see what we're talking about. You'll see activity of people in the lagoon every single day. It's a family lagoon, always has been. We just ask that they don't make it into a marina.
Okay.
Change.
Right,
and safety-wise.
Thank you. I know the mayor's been there. I've been there before, more than once. Jody and I've been there. I know Sean knows it well. And Dave's been there, so...
My question, I'm sorry, what is the process for us to know what the outcome is? We haven't heard anything at all. First of all, from the Army Corps of Engineers, where that stands. It's been quite some long process. And what Ocean City Council is going to do as far as voting on whether this is going to go through or not. Like, we're waiting for months and we don't know what's going on.
You were with the Corps. I mean, it happens when it happens, correct? I mean, you could, I mean, Dad was with the Corps too. You can't guess it when it's coming, do you? Or know what you know?
Yeah, right now it's with the Army Corps. They don't have a specified deadline to get back to us, but I know that, like Keith said earlier, that they're working to respond to all the questions and concerns that were raised to them from the public.
Okay. Once that's done, will the city council have meetings and before this final decision is being made?
Sure. We'll come, if it comes before us, yes. If that's the avenue it takes, we'd absolutely talk about it. But and again, my father worked for Corps many years in FEMA. It moves at the pace it moves. Right here. Thank you. Try to keep your questions as quick as you can because we're going to run out of time.
That's a question about the beach. So what's the plan for beach replenishment, especially around 4th and 5th Street?
25. Winter of 25.
Winter of 25?
Mayor says winter of 25.
Thank you.
Where's Bob Marzulli? Okay, Bob Marzulli back there.
Yeah, I live on 7th Street, and approximately, folks, we got 100 people on show. Approximately 3 or 4 years ago, we asked to have signs put up on West and Bay Avenue, no truck route. We're gracious enough to do it, but I have to tell you, I have more trucks now coming up that street than we ever had before. Nobody ever takes a look at it, and somebody's going to get hurt.
because there's a light at 8th and there's a light at 6th. Everybody takes 7th Street from west to Bay. There's a stop sign at Haven, and nobody uses it. So I don't understand why we put them up and then there's no enforcement to it. And it's been ticking me off for quite some time. And I thought maybe this was the time to do it. So anyway.
Well, you came to the right place. The mayor's writing that down. He's going to get with the chief on that. And either myself or the mayor will follow up with you as soon as we have something definitive. If it gets bad at a particular time, you have my cell phone number. Call me. That's my job. I walk by your house all the time with the dog. You know that. So you just reach out, and I know the mayor will do what he can to take a look at this. And again, our police chief is really great. Has been very responsive. So we'll definitely look at that. Correct, Mayor?
Yep.
Right there.
I want to build on this gentleman's point around the commercial vehicles. I have a house on Main Street here. This may not be applicable to the entire ward, but the commercial vehicles come down every day. I've got kids that are outside. It's over the top. It really is, and they're not following the speed limit, number one. Second thing is, 8th Street is used as a raceway to get to that light, to beat that light. The third point I'll make, maybe this isn't in the forum, I want to have really a conversation around the safety issue of 4th of July. And on 8th Street, cars, I sat on my porch and watched 10, 15, 20 cars go down the wrong side of the road on 8th Avenue, run the red light, and almost hit people coming back from the fireworks. I get it, there's a massive influx of people that come 4th of July. However, when you have families coming back from 4th of July fireworks, people riding their bikes, and people running the red light on the wrong side of the road, 50 miles an hour, I, as a homeowner, and have kids, incredibly concerning. I will say this, I realize the police are overwhelmed that day. I called the police department twice, asked someone to come out and just to monitor what was going on and slow it down. We'll be out there, not one cop car for 3 hours. So this is my first meeting. I appreciate the forum, appreciate the opportunity, but it's something that needs to be addressed. I get it, it's an event, but we don't want an event to become a massive safety issue at 8th and Bay, and it's becoming that.
Okay. The mayor's got that written down as well.
Agenda item. Those questions have nothing to do with the earlier agenda items, and a lot of us were here for the next agenda item.
Well, hang on one second. Hang on. This is a regular ward meeting, okay? Everything essential to the ward is going to get discussed. This was never a forum on Wonderland. I will stay here all day. But this, I have to do my regular business, okay? I had things to introduce that could possibly be ordinances and address parking. I have other concerns that people have. As soon as those concerns are addressed, people that want to stay can stay. I'll stay here as long as it takes. But I have other business to do. Everybody's business and everything that everybody has to say is equally important here, okay? Do I have anybody else on regular business? Yes.
Thanks, Keith, for having us. Just one quick question. Will the bridge lights be restored?
That is a part of the state. We have no control. That's a state project. We have no control over it. They went out to bid. They awarded it. My understanding is they're going to start at the end of this year and be ready by springtime.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, looks like we've got all the questions. So I'm going to make a few brief comments about Wonderland, and then, excuse me? I'm going to make a few brief comments. Mr. Mita owns it. It's his. Mr. Mita has asked for 6 months to review what he thinks he can do with the property, okay? He's serious about it. Mr. Mita, I've talked to him many times. Jay will attest to this, and I think that George. Anybody who's met him, he's a super nice guy. He's a good man, okay? He understands the historic significance of Wonderland. but he's also a capitalist. Okay, so do I know what he's going to do? No. Does the mayor know what he's going to do? No. He knows what he's going to do. If you ever get a chance to go to an Icona property, and I'm not saying that's what's going to be there, I'm just saying detail-wise, this guy's going to go through and look at every possibility, everything he can and cannot do, and then he's going to come to us, and I would imagine we end up in a town hall meeting and not a ward meeting, he's going to come to us to explain it. So at this point, it's private property, and it's his. I did talk to him this week. He has zero interest in selling it, but he has an interest in doing something with it. And he is not around today, but this meeting will be up on YouTube, and he's going to watch that meeting when he gets a chance. So all your voices will be heard, okay? But for my money right now, I can't tell you anything because I don't know anything, and I'm letting him have that 6 months because I'm hoping in that 6 month
How
period.
did all this start?
Excuse me?
How did all this start? Everybody wants to know how this started. That property was owned by Gillian, correct?
Yes.
He sold it to me.
Well, you know what? He came in and bought
Listen, it's amazing.
All right, but nobody understands what you're doing.
All right, first of all, it's a private
And if we
business.
own-
Listen, I'm going to give everybody what's going on. So you hear from me, everybody wants this. And it's unbelievable because it is my private life, my business, but it seems like that's everybody's thing. So let's go back to Sandy. I went and started an amusement park in Seattle. We got wiped out. Got wiped out in Seattle, got wiped out here at Wonderland, had a lot of problems. So just go from there. Lost a brother with the water park, a lot of personal, a lot of private things, a lot of, it's just business. So at the end of the day is, we had Sandy, COVID came in and knocked me, but I couldn't pay the bills. I mean, when you talk about the governor and all the things that they do, they doubled the payroll. Everybody thinks that's great. So my payroll went from 40 to 80,000. So my payroll last week, so here we are, open thing, 80,000. I'm $1,000 out of 80,000 for payroll. I've tried my hardest to keep Wonderland going. If anyone knows me, again, you can believe all the stuff you hear on social media. But at the end of the day, grandfather came here in 1930. And it's been a family thing that we've done. I've tried everything.
All right, but listen, that's wonderful.
Okay, so let me
That's
finish.
wonderful, but that's a landmark.
Please.
Why did the city allow this?
Please be respectful. Hold on. Please be respectful. When the mayor's speaking, let him speak.
No, you're
Okay,
not.
no, you're not. You're interrupting. Let the mayor speak.
First of all,
Look, I want to say something. No, Jake, let me say something. This is a very emotional thing for him. And it's very personal. Okay? And I have empathy for it. Okay? So I want everybody to be respectful. Let him speak. Okay? I don't even know what he's going through. This is gut-wrenching for him. Okay? So I want people to put that in the back of their minds when they talk about this, because this was his life. And he loved it. Okay? So he's done it. He's told you he's done everything possible that he could. It is sold. It is in somebody else's hands. It doesn't matter how it got there, folks. It's there. Okay? I deal in the real world. So to go backwards and talk about how it happened, it's already happened. We can't undo the past. He tried his hardest not for that to happen, and I have great empathy for that. And he's got a lot of courage standing up in front of you and talking to you folks, by the way.
So again, just so we clear the social media thing up. So at the end of the day is when COVID came, and the banks have regulations. When they put a loan in distress, people go crazy. And I will tell you the one thing about Mr. Mita is, if he had not come in, Wonderland had been gone. It would have been dirt lot. So we can say whatever we want about people, but at the end of the day is, Eustace gave me 3 years to try to put myself get back on my feet. And, it tried. And then this year, again, I tried again. And, before I even wake up in the morning, I'm about $4 million in debt between payroll, insurance, because my insurance is linked, and then just the upkeep. I mean, this year I spent $100 grand trying to get a ride ready. New drives and everything, and it went up to the state engineers and they didn't like it. And they just kept doing it. So that's the other thing that you don't understand it's hard to do as an amusement business. It's difficult. But again, anyone that's been close or knows me, all that kind of stuff, believe me, it is something that I'm up there fixing the lock flume. I'm changing 100-pound, 50-pound drum. Where's Buck back there, right? My man back there. I mean, he understands what I've been going through. And, the loss of him, and he's down at Playland right now. And I'm going to tell you something. Let's talk about Playland. Beautiful. It's clean. It does everything. So, yeah, are we losing Wonderland? Who knows what's going to happen in the future? But at the end of the day, in Ocean City, we have an amazing amusement park. It's safe, top-notch. And again, I can vouch for the guy that is probably in charge of keeping them all safe. It's beautiful. Your boardwalk is beautiful. This tone, and I've said this many times too, it's what comes out of your mouth. And when someone comes at you and they say, oh, this or that, whoa. How lucky are we here in Ocean City? Believe me, I hope to God something happens up in Wonderland. I've had many people come to me, and like you just said, whether he wants to sell it or not, I haven't stopped fighting. But at the end of the day, reality is hard sometimes. And when a bank says, you know what, and I was close multiple times to get money, but at the end of the day, when you have somebody that will take that bad loan off a bank, they're going to do it. So again, the real world is difficult. But, we've been able to, I'm proud of what we've been able to do. And believe me, if I could do more, I would. But, like I said, it is an expensive business. And I get, well, how can Playland do it? I do it. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know what happens in a boardroom. And that's what upsets me more than anything. All the experts, all the opinions. You guys don't know what Playland does or Mac and Manco. You don't know what they do. People think they have opinions, they know it, but this has been a hard time. But I'm happy, I'm content, and believe me, I have a lot of good people around me. I've talked to a lot of amusement people. You talk to any amusement people, especially in New Jersey, it's difficult. And a lot of Six Flags and all that, it's big corporations now that really buy it. You look at Amazon, you look at where our country's going right now. Our mom and pop stores, what are we getting? They double our payroll. And I know people think that's great. But, if you have a shop and you have 4 or 5 people, I have 75 to 80. I got 15-year-old kids making, $16, $17 an hour. I mean, I wasn't making that when I was younger, but that's life now. You have to accept, you have to accept what comes in before you. And that's what I love about Ocean City. We're going to be great no matter what we do. What we do at Wonderland, whatever happens there, and I've talked to you a couple of times, he wants to talk to people. He wants to know what Ocean City wants. Keith's trying to do that. The council talks to him. But I'm telling you, it is heart-wrenching. And I appreciate all the pictures and everything I've been getting. And I'm telling you, if I had a magic wand, and like he said he wants to write me a check for $20, $30 million, I'll take it.
I was 50.
Oh, was it 50?
Yeah, I told George he was going to run over and cut the check, but he was too interested to see what I had to say.
Yeah.
So he didn't.
But again, it's a serious matter. And what everybody wants to say is, look, I tried my hardest. And again, it didn't work. But I mean, my dad would have been 95 this year. So for 95 years doing amusements in Ocean City, I think that's a hell of a run. But that doesn't mean it's over. But again, in Ocean City, you have an amazing, amazing amusement park still. And one thing I can say to you, go there, spend your money. Because I tell you, when you look at that Nor'easter coaster and all the things that he does there, and I'm telling you, I'm almost jealous how beautiful it is. But when I walked in there a couple of times this summer, I thought, oh my God, this is what an amusement park is supposed to look like. So, enjoy that. So, I appreciate that. And again, I know today sort of got, again, this is that social media thing. At the end of the day, nobody knows what's going on. It is a private business, and it's got to go through council. It's got to go through so many things to get done. And, the neighborhood will be involved. But again, this is a difficult thing. I know people want instant gratification on things, but sometimes if you really want something to work, it takes time. So thank you.
I've been coming to Ocean City now for almost 50 years. I grew up along the rides there. But I'm wondering, our daughters, and we've been in place here for many years now. Our daughters are 11, 13. My daughter chipped her tooth, I think, on the little Caterpillar roller coaster, which she was probably 2, I want to say. Boy, just amazing memories. So, what I wanted to say about the Wonderland, we have an amazing community here of people. We have probably the best boardwalk in the world. We are America's greatest family resort. We have a strong surfing community here as well. Ocean City, Wonderland sits right on the iconic, famous 7th Street surfing beach. We have plenty of hotels. We have plenty of homes here. There's plenty of people that come to this town. We don't need another residential property. We don't know what use this is going to do with the property. It's going to have to go through the process. It's going to have to go through zoning. We talked a lot about zoning today. But property is zoning on boardwalk zoning. It's also in the special improvement district. There are very good restrictions as to what you can and can't do in there. Amusements is one of those things. What I would say is we also have a lot of local expertise within our town. Rob Kelly, many of you may know him. We have a lot of professional surfers within our community that have grown up here, have come out of this. They surf around the world. Rob also does some amazing things. He actually builds wave pools around the world. The Cruise to Nova is another one of those. They were over in Tokyo not long ago for a surfing competition at what's called a perfect swell wave pool. Wonderland would be the ideal location for a world-class perfect swell wave pool. It could be indoor out. You could put a retractable roof on. You could keep the iconic, historic Wonderland front. You could call it Wonder Swell. I've actually reached out to you, just presented this to him. I mean, we could bring people from around the world to Ocean City and show them our great community through this. So he said he's exploring other opportunities right now, or other ideas at this time that he's not opposed to it. So I'm going to encourage you, it's a great opportunity, it's right there at the beach. There's a lot of things you have to do, but no zoning changes would have to happen for that. So I would encourage all the council members that are here today, planning board members as they come through, hold to the zoning. If he wants to build something in our zone, if he wants to go to a hotel, which is kind of what his company does, they build beautiful properties. It doesn't fit, it's not allowed within that district. So something would have to give, something would have to change. Please don't change it. Please don't allow it. Special improvement district and the management board that oversees that there are not funds that go towards any other property or any other use that would not be allowed under the current use within that zoning. So thank you all. Thank you, Keith, for having
Dan's working the mic, so.
Questions, folks, just raise your hand if you have a question.
And folks, if all your concerns have been addressed, you can get up at any time and go home. I will not be offended. So if you want to stay, stay. If not, yes.
Hi. First of all, I would like to thank Mayor Billy for speaking. I respect you. I know you've been through a lot this month. And I think it shows true character that you are here. And my daughter used to work at the water park. And we live in Brighton Place. So we face you every day. And I had other family come down, take pictures of the iconic Ferris wheel, which I will miss if it goes away. But my main concern right now was last year when Mr. Mita was presenting the drawings. He was talking about building on the city building, not on Wonderland. So there are dunes there. And I did call the EPA and various, environmental agencies. So that would be my main concern right now, that the city council and zoning people will keep that as open land. And I do think what this gentleman back here said, with the surfing community being so large and actually renowned in Ocean City, that would be a wonderful alternative if, I don't believe we do need a big fancy hotel. That is not
So in response to your question, Mr. Mita is addressing the Wonderland property. The other property he's not addressing, that's off to the side. So when it comes to the surfing thing, I'd have abstained from the vote because my girlfriend owns 7th Street Surf Shop, but I think she'd be thrilled with that, by the way.
First of all, I thank Jay, Mayor Billion for being here. It means a lot. I know that it's out of everyone's hand, that it's been sold. But my concern is what happened to us next door on St. Charles Place. We have 5 bedrooms, 5 baths, 1 parking car per car. 1. I don't understand zoning. So my wish is that council will keep the zoning department faithful to what rules have been established, because all rules were broken in this house, and I don't know how it got done. Zoning seems to be a key factor to not waver and not be influenced.
My response to you is if you have a specific concern about a property in your neighborhood, your first line of defense would be to get a hold of your council person, Terry Crowley. He'll come out and speak to you about it. And that would be the first line of defense that I would go with. He's very good about that.
Hey folks, I'm running around getting the mic to people as fast as possible. All you have to do is raise your hand. We can only do one at a time, so here you go.
One at a time is good enough. I'm sorry, did I miss something? I didn't hear anything about the amusement park, Gillingham, and what are the plans for that? That is our concern.
6 months. He said it's going to take 6 months to evaluate.
I'll address it again. He owns it. He said he's going to take 6 months to evaluate it. Everything's on the table, but I don't know what he's going to do.
What do you mean by everything is on the table?
He's going to look at every possible thing that he could do with that property.
What are the possibilities?
I don't know. That he's going, sir. I don't know. He's going to get back to us. He owns the property. Excuse me?
I'm not entitled to hear what the possibilities are.
Well, it's a private property.
6 months. Oh, but it impacts the community next to it. 16 years ago, they tried to put a restaurant there. We were able to actually defeat that. We don't want to have the same scenario. It's private property, but unfortunately for users, it impacts dramatically the community next to it.
Of course, and everybody here is aware of that, sir. We all feel we're all Ocean City people, but just bear in mind, you have to keep them in 6 months, don't you? Isn't it just reasonable to give them in 6 months to let them look at the whole thing? And then when the 6 months
You're
is
going
over,
to be involved, sir, in 6 months.
And when the 6 months is over, I'm sure he's going to make a presentation.
In 6 months, he's going to make a public presentation. And then we'll all know. And every one of us on council, everyone in the administration, everybody that works for the city, and everybody that live here have the same concern. You're not alone. And we're not going to hide anything. I mean, he just got up and poured his heart out about his life. Is that not transparency? I don't know what is, okay? Nothing's going to be hidden on this. There's no ulterior motive. Okay, but you got to get, the guy asked for 6 months. I don't know. Maybe that's a $50 million investment. I don't know what it is. But I can tell you, if it is, I can't tell. If you gave me that property and $50 million, it would take, let's say me and the mayor went in on it. Wait, okay, it would take us 6 months to a year to figure out what to do with it, sir.
Are there any regulations that allow the building of a big project, like a big hotel in that area? It's a simple question.
We've answered that, and I'll re-answer it again. Okay, the mayor did a great job of answering that. So, there's a million things and a million ways it could go. It could go in front of one of our boards, it could go in front of city council, but wherever it goes, they're public meetings. You'll know when the public meeting is, you'll be able to go to it. So, right now, it's zoned as it is. If somebody wants to put a hotel there, and I'm not saying that's what it's going to be, they would have to go through a ton of hoops. The mayor has said that.
Use variance, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Well, there's all different ways.
Asking what are the zoning laws?
He wants to know what the zone is.
It's zoned as what it is currently.
What it is? Tell us.
You want to explain?
No, I just thought it was.
That property is zoned the same way the rest of the on-boardwalk zone is zoned. Amusements, restaurants, shops.
Louder.
The property is zoned the way the entire on-boardwalk zone from 5th Street to 14th Street is zoned. Amusements, restaurants, shops, no residential is permitted as of right.
So no hotel. Right now, there's no hotel permission. Am I correct?
I'm repeating myself over and over. I've got to stop. Let's get somebody else in. It's zoned as it is. If the zoning changes, there's a million ways it can change, and all those will be public, all those will be transparent. I can't say it to you any other way. I just can't. Yes.
And thanks to the mayor for coming. He's right. Rumor mill is running rampant. One of those rumors is that if a hotel is built there and it has X amount of rooms, and I'm not sure how many rooms that is, that they automatically will get by the state law a liquor license.
It's not true.
Is that true or not? Okay.
It's not true, and Councilman Winslow did a great job the other night of going through that and explaining that. So it would have to go in front of the city council, and I can tell you there's not anybody sitting up there that would vote yes for that. So when people say there's a pathway, there is, but they got to vote on it too. So because we don't have liquor at all, it's not automatic. Okay, so it's not, as far as I'm concerned, it's not going to happen in any time that any of us are serving. I mean, if ever I could guarantee something, I'll guarantee that. Okay, I mean, I know all these guys. We don't always all agree on everything, but these are great people to work with. But I know on this one, we're about as unanimous as you're going to get. Okay?
Over here, Keith.
Okay.
Keith, is there a Facebook page that you have for our ward? I think it's great. There's a lot of things that came up today that I wasn't aware of in our ward, like the 10th Street I didn't know. Yeah. I know from the old homes and from the Friends of Culture History, I was knowing some of that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that was talked about today and going forward. Is there a
Yeah, Second Ward Council Hartsel.
Okay, and that's Facebook?
Mm-hmm. Facebook, yeah.
Yeah, there's a Facebook feed of this meeting that's streaming now on Facebook. We'll also upload a video of the meeting today that probably won't get up there until tomorrow, but that will be available at keithphartzell.com. keithphartzell.com.
Good morning. My name is Helen Struckman. My family's been on this island since the early 1900s. My grandfather, Reuben Oves, joined the Ocean City Beach Patrol in 1910. My uncle, Tom Oves, who recently passed away, joined in 1950. I'm blessed to still have the childhood home that my grandparents bought nearly a century ago. I'm able to keep that home because of the rental income that I'm able to generate by sharing my home with travelers in the summer season. Families who have clearly said they would no longer return if Wonderland is gone. Opening in 1965, Wonderland has been the biggest draw for tourism, and it's been a symbol in the heart of Ocean City. It's what makes Ocean City so special and establishes it as America's greatest family resort. And as far as I'm aware, Ocean City is the only dry coastal family town left. In fact, there's only 8 coastal amusement parks left in existence on the entire East Coast. And it's the major family-friendly identity and the draw from Wonderland. While alcohol and adult activities are favored by developers, our family-friendly identity and ban of alcohol is exactly what makes us stand out from all other competition. According to travel resort reports, Ocean City is consistently in the top 2 of favorite destinations, along with Cape May, specifically because of its family-friendly atmosphere. It's way ahead of Margate, Avalon, Stone Harbor, Wildwood, Atlantic City, all the rest of them. And the reason, again, is because of the family-friendly atmosphere. And I understand that this is a privately owned property. However, our motto is America's greatest family resort. What are we going to change it to when there's nothing left for families? We can't allow this symbol of Ocean City to die without fully studying the impact.
Ma'am, do you have a question? Because you've got a lot of people waiting.
Yeah. It's not a question, it's a statement. I think it's very important, and that is that this Wonderland, Ocean City is basically like an endangered species. And Wonderland is the exact thing that's stopping it from going extinct. Because if you allow zoning, and again, I understand that all this has to do with zoning, But if you allow zoning to allow hotels on the boardwalk, that is the dam that is stopping the floodwaters. You allow that, and suddenly every business that does not own its own land would get forced out as landlords get greedy to determine what can occupy the space. What's next after the hotels? Bars, vape shops, marijuana dispensaries, casinos? If we determine value specifically by profits, there's no limits to what greed can quickly destroy. But it's important that people know that this is not just the destruction of Wonderland. It's the fact that if Wonderland goes, if you change the zoning, the entire boardwalk and this entire island can be gone very quickly. And that's why we're all here.
Thank you.
Folks, please try and be as brief as possible. There's a lot of folks waiting.
We have a lot of people that want to speak, so keep it 3, maybe 4 minutes, because I want everybody to be able to speak. It's a beautiful day out, and a lot of you want to go enjoy it. I'll stay as long as possible, but I want everybody to be able to speak. Mr. Meader will watch this meeting. We don't know, again, what's going to happen. So to go this far down the train, we don't know, okay?
You gotta stop it now. It's the line.
You spoke already, I understand. I completely understand what you said.
We got it.
I completely understand, okay? I'm giving Mr. Meader 6 months and hoping that he comes out with something that we all like. And that's what he's asked to do. It's his property, it's his right, and that's what we're gonna do.
When did that clock start?
But it's your zone. It's your zone.
I understand, sir. I understand, sir. I understand. I'm here in front of you, sir. Okay, I'm here in front of you. I'm listening to everything you're going to say.
Don't forget.
That's why I'm here. I mean, listen, I have 100 people.
We'll help you stick to it.
I have 100 people on Zoom here.
We will.
This is the largest ward meeting ever. I have over 175 people
Good
here.
to see.
So I'm.
Thank you for doing it.
I'm more than willing to do that and give you the best information I get as I get it. Go ahead.
Hi, as fourth generation business owner, I very much sympathize with the mayor, and I can't imagine what he's going through. So I don't think we can put him down for that. That was a business financial decision. And I hope it doesn't happen to me.
Not to interrupt you. I didn't make a dime. So when everybody thinks I got all this money under my mattress, I wish I did. So the debt that I'm in right now, and again, I'm being honest because everybody seems to want that from me, is I didn't walk away. The money that used to pay went to paying a loan down, and he gave me 3 years to get myself out of debt, which I couldn't do. So that's where it's at. So I mean, if you want to be bluntly honest with everything, so all the people think I got all this money, or I did all this devious stuff, doesn't know. I gave every penny that I had, especially this summer. So again, I'm going to be paying for this for the next
All us business owners appear rich, but none of us truly are. But my question is concerning the beach parking lot area between 5th and 6th Street. I live across the street. I don't know who owns it, and if the city owns it, is it for sale? So I can rest in peace knowing nothing's happening to that.
You can rest in life too, knowing.
Who owns
Because I
it?
don't want you to go anywhere.
Who owns that?
It's a city lot.
That's all I needed to know.
You have to get the guy with the mic. He's in control.
When variances are given to builders, so this would also apply to Wonderland, but also to the private residences that are built, where does that money go? Because they're not free. So where does that variance money go?
I'll give it to the expert.
The money that you're talking about is application fees that go to the city to administer the application. The applicants also pay for professionals, the board professionals that review the applications and tell the zoning board or the planning board, give them an opinion as to whether it conforms, what needs to be done for it to comply with the law. The applicants also pay for their own professionals, attorney, engineer, architect. but there's no pot of money. Variances aren't sold. It's an application with an application fee. That's what gets paid to the city.
Okay.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. I'm a third generation owner. My grandparents bought a house on 37th Street, so I'm not in this ward, but Wonderland is iconic for us. We love it, and I can speak for thousands and thousands of other families that is Ocean City nostalgia. And when you come over that bridge, that Ferris wheel is iconic for Ocean City. So I worry as a person who rents my home about what's going to happen with the tourism. I know we can say a hotel will draw more people, but if we want to remain family friendly, I feel that it has to be saved. I don't know if there, I know it's been sold. Is there any way that it can be preserved somehow as a historical
Good question. I'm going to say there's a historical, who wants to tackle that?
Okay, well, I'm going to answer that question. I want to answer that question. So I just asked Mrs. McCrossan, she's our solicitor, very, very good at her job. It's private property, so at this point it's private property. So there's nothing that we can do except wait to see what he says. So private property is private property. I really don't know how else to explain it.
How about the carousel and the Ferris wheel?
Okay, so Mr. Mita, and I've said this a couple times today, and I'll keep saying it, he's very aware of the iconic nature of some of the rides there. And he's going to do, and I've said this many times, he's going to do what he can to have rides. What else he's going to do, I don't know. I don't know how many rides he's going to have.
Are those rides of his property now? Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, they're all his. I just wanted to check with the mayor first before he said anything.
I've got another question right here.
I have a question right here.
Hey, Ross.
If possible, move on from Wonderland. And Jay, I appreciate you speaking. I think that was very difficult for you. Thank you for doing that. This morning I read that there was a parking lot bought behind City Hall. And my question is, are we going to talk about parking during the police building renovation? Because the downtown will be affected by that.
You want to take that, Mayor?
Yeah, we're up.
Parking during the police building renovation.
Roz, as you know, parking downtown, we've been all over the place for that. So being able to buy these 2 lots, I think it adds another 44. So we're going to redesign our stuff. So yeah, we're trying not to take too much of the parking and whether we can stage it at other spots. So that's one of the things when we do bidding and all that kind of stuff. They talked about closing Central Avenue one time. I know, that's what I say. So when people come in to do things, they don't really understand what the demographics is, especially downtown. But we've looked at many things here, but no, everything will be addressed, whatever we have to do. So, all right.
I appreciate it.
And again, not like with Keith again. Between the mayor's letter and Keith and all that kind of stuff, when people start talking about transparency, there is so much information from our website, his website. It's all out there. It's whether or not you want to believe it, because we're the factual guys. We're boring, because all we do is give you the facts. We don't make it all, hellacious or whatever you want to say. But again, I think the parking, and we talked about that earlier, whether it's 12th Street or whether or not it's behind City Hall, every time something comes up, we look at it. We looked at a place next to Keys behind Ward's. Walt had something up for sale, but it just didn't make sense. But I mean, anytime we can buy some open space and do something, we do it. Whether we do park mobile, I know parking, and people get mad at me and all that kind of stuff, but everybody parked today, everybody walked. I've been here, I'll be 60 years old this year.
Wow.
I know. I'm younger than you, probably.
But and you don't have gray hair. I don't know how you did that.
I got good genes. But honestly, I get it. And we talk about the downtown a lot, but to me, it's the residential end of it, whether it's the north and south end, and what can we do? We have that big chunk of land at 16th Street. And originally everyone wants to put pools or whatever they want to do, but at the end of the day could that be a satellite parking lot for the community center, the schools, shuttles? These are all the things that we're thinking about, but we can't really get to it until we clean it up. It's finally cleaned up now. So all these things that we're talking about right now and the DEP, We didn't touch it. That's a serious issue. Just like when the windows came in, they took our home rule away. So yeah, these are things you have to be paying attention about because they're saying 5 feet higher. So what's the benefit to that? Well, maybe we get parking underneath the houses. When Keith's talking about open underneath houses, I think back in the 80s they did have that, and then the community was upset because they didn't want to look at telephone poles. So it's everyone has great ideas. We got to just see what happens. But a lot of the stuff has been done before. But with zoning and planning and all that kind of stuff, we can tweak things up. I know with council, they're looking at a lot of things, so there's going to be some changes coming forward.
Here we go, I've got a question.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is this on? There's a lot about parking. What about the beach? I happen to live on 4th Street, and as you mentioned about people coming and renting, I don't have renters, but our guests are saying, I don't want to come back here, there is no beach. And if you're looking at what's going to be the impact of what will be happening at that space, if it were a hotel be, whatever, there is not enough beach to handle any more people that are already in our area. I know that there's replenishing, but that goes away at the first storm. So unless there is something, and possibly whoever is going to do whatever they're going to build on that thing, would be required to do something more permanent and put out a creek or a barrier that's out there that would help change the configuration and allow us to keep our beach. Yes.
And again, George here used to work for Army Corps, so I mean the beach comes and goes. Sometimes it's, but this March, and it goes out and there's a little sandbar in front, it comes back in. And this is what I kind of try to say too is they're going to come back, and yes, it's going to be bigger, and it costs a lot of money. We've gotten our 50-year plan, all that kind of stuff, so we'll continue to build it up. But it's the one thing I ask everybody again, it's just. When people come up to you and say, I'm never going to come back, they could be angry. You never know what's going through that day. But generally speaking, I mean, you got 8 miles of beach. So maybe at 4th Street it does get a little thin, and everybody wants what they want. So we harvest it. I mean, we have.
Are you looking at a natural barrier out there?
But
something that would.
I can't. George and I talk about that at the end of the day. Even with the jetties and all that kind of stuff. When my dad was there, he put this groin in, and you can't do that now. That's why when we talk about our local issues, like the DEP is something everyone should educate themselves. Yep. They're, instead of going to our Assembly and our Senate, they're saying, this is what we're going to do, just like they did with the windmills. That's where a lot of our focus on, because what they do up at Trenton, zoning, planning, a lot of these regulations, again, with the amusement park, everybody wants the amusement park. Again, the guy who works with me knows how difficult it is for regulations amusement-wise. Because all they say is, an inspector will come in and say, I don't like that. And then I got to spend $30,000, $40,000 and engineers to tell them, no, it's safe. And you know what their response is? As long as it's safe. So, with safety, nobody will get as long as it's...
The DP,
the DP is where you got to go.
Concerns about doing something more permanent in...
And again, George will tell you this. If you want to do something now, by the time the DEP, if they want to, yes, they can do it. But by the time you get environmentalists and all the experts, when we know we have a trend full of experts. Yeah, and again, we've tried things, but now you get people like good engineers and ocean engineers on that to try to figure something out. It's like banging your head. It's the marina, the DEP, Army Corps. They keep saying, what is the city going to do? Once it leaves the bulkhead, it's up to the state. So, there's so many state things right now that we're dealing with, and as far as the beach goes, we're going to keep replenishing.
We're going to support you in that.
But I'll tell you, there's still a lot of people that say, don't waste your money pumping the sand. So, that's what I try to ask everybody is, everybody has strong opinions of what they want, this is what I want, this is the box. We, as council and as a mayor and stuff, we got to look at everything and try to figure out how we can do it. And it gets difficult sometimes. I think we do a great job. We have great support, but it is timely and difficult sometimes to do a lot of these things that we're talking about. But again, I think in general we keep things good.
Whoever's designing the current owner has to keep in mind there's nothing there anymore.
But again, anything that he does or wants to put there, whether it's CAFR or whatever, he's only going to have to do what the law tells him he's going to have to do.
No, I understand that, but in terms of whatever guests or whoever he's thinking of, they need to know that there's not much.
And they will. And like I said, they will.
Just so that he hears that.
We've got a question over here, gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm learning today that the state of New Jersey has an awful lot to say
Yes, they
about
do.
what goes on in the
Yes, they
town.
do.
I had no idea
Our
that they
hands are
had that
tied in
much
many
to say.
respects.
So, has Ocean City considered getting a lobbyist to help talk to all the various state agencies that seem to have a say in what
We
goes
do.
on here?
That's not a bad idea.
We've been doing it for a lot of years, and our relationship with our relationship with Antoine and Senator Testa, we have a great relationship. And what's beautiful is City, we're nonpartisan, so we don't have to figure that Republican Democrat thing. That's why we're so successful. Nonpartisan, we can talk.
Amen.
To everyone. So.
Okay. I have another question, and this is about the fellow that mentioned the rumor mill, and then some lady mentioned about the city lots. The rumor mill has it that Rita Snooze got out of joint when you wouldn't change the zoning to allow him to build a hotel on the city-owned lot, and that because of that, he refused to renew the lease for Wonderland Pier.
Absolutely not.
So, first of all, I want to
That's
thank
what I
you
meant
for
with
coming.
her, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I want to thank you for coming, Mayor, because I know it's difficult for you, and thank you, Keith, for allowing us to voice our concerns.
Entirely wrong.
Yeah, I'm not going to repeat what everybody said. However, I'm concerned that there might be, that in Mita's mind, a quid pro quo. In other words, if he does something to salvage all or part of Wonderland Pier, he would want to be able to build his hotel on the city-owned lot.
That is never going to happen. Because
Okay.
if that were ever even be thought about, it would come to you guys and you would vote on it. I don't even think council has the courage to, they would come to the, and again, how did we start? Beta Boardwalk, 5th to 6th Street. You got the Tabernacle, you have the school, you have Memorial Field. We're not going to change that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anybody? Here we go. Yep, coming right over. Hold on.
So thanks both to the mayor and to Keith. I just want to just make sure that we have this straight, right? Because I think there's a little bit of misinformation, and I don't like the rumor of opening thing. Nita has the right to run an amusement park. That's his right. He doesn't have a broad property right. He can run an amusement park. If he wants to build a hotel or resort, it's going and has to go through council, and the public will be intimately involved in that process. And if we could have that process outlined by the city someplace so people aren't wondering what it is, that would be great. Third is, anytime prior and during the election cycle, when a hotel was proposed for that area, council and the mayor rejected it outright. You don't seem to be doing it now. And and it may be that you're not rejecting it outright. So my question would be, if funds were available, private and public funds were available, and you could tell me that, sorry, no resort, we want Wonderland to be restored, and we have a plan. Would you be open to that? And it would be great if you could tell people you would be open to it.
Does somebody want to pay for those plans? That's the thing. Somebody got to pay for the plans?
This is what's difficult, because again, all right, so we want to buy some rides. What are we talking? $3, $4, $5 million to upgrade rides. I mean, there is a park where I play in up in New York that the city owns, and every time they buy a ride or something like that, they have to come to the people. But Ocean City, we all have our way of what we want and what we think, and which is beautiful. But he gave me 4 years to figure it out, and what you'd have to put into that. To bring it up to Playland standard, because they've set the standards now. We keep hitting Wonderland and we have that nostalgia. Nobody more than me. If anybody in this room doesn't think that I would like to keep it going, or I'm going to get up next year and not go on the monorail or something like that. So for somebody to come, I don't want a hotel and do all that kind of stuff, that would be, first of all, it would be irresponsible for me as mayor, because there's 100 people in this room, or whatever. How many people live here? How many opinions? How many people are afraid to come up in public? Because that's the one thing I found out in my 14 years, and Keith does too, is people have opinions and they're scared to death because they get clobbered. And social media is a prime thing. So to me, Eustace is a good guy. He gave me 4 years to figure it out. And who knows what he's going to do. That's why he's taking 6 months. Next thing you know, maybe he has a plan for an amazing music park. Maybe it's a Disney World type. Nobody knows. But he's spent a lot of money for that property. So for us to tell him what he can and can't do with it, that'd be like me coming to your house and telling you what you can and can't do. And that's, again, in democracy and all of that,
and capitalism,
But
whatever
this
you want to
isn't
say.
our private homes, it's the entire island. That's the difference.
Your opinion. And I appreciate that. And you can say whatever you want. And I love people with passion on that kind of stuff. But again, in a democracy, there's a way of doing things. And there's laws and regulations, all that kind of stuff. So for us to come up and say, this is what we want, all that kind of stuff, I would love to have an amusement park.
So the question is, again, are you open if there are funds? That's what Bill is asking.
That's what I'm doing right now. But
Well,
I'm
you
not
haven't answered it. Are you open to
He's
that?
not the owner anymore. He
This
doesn't
is-
own it
it's the
anymore.
city. I understand that. However, there are ways. There's fundraisers that can be done. The bottom line is,
Listen,
if a nonprofit purchases it, then they're able to offset what he considers the value. Right now, he's stuck with a property that he cannot utilize in the way that he wants to utilize it.
You don't know
Now,
what's going to come forward. You
well,
don't know
in
what's
6
gonna-
months, we don't know. But the bottom line is right
but
now, he
wouldn't you,
cannot
if
do
you
it
came to me
himself.
and you had your passion right now, and you came to me and said, Mayor, give me 6 months. And I said, no way, I'm telling you what to do. You'd be all over me.
I'm
So-
not saying that
but
we need
what
to
I'm
do that
asking
now.
you
I'm
is,
asking you, are you open to that as a
I'm
possibility in
open
the
to
future?
anything. I'm open to anything.
Okay, so then that's a yes?
Yes.
If we're able to raise funds,
You want to raise 20, 30 million? Try it.
I think it's
that's-
possible. I think it's very
It
possible.
it is possible. But again, at the end of the day, is the gentleman owns it. He's went 6 months, and you'd be surprised what he'll come up.
Okay, we got to keep moving.
Mr. Mayor, lots of courage for coming up here and talking to everybody. That's to be respected, truthfully. I purchased the old Ebby guest house, and it was complete disrepair. Invested a lot of my hard-earned money, clearly the future of 6th Street, and some of my friends also invested lots of money in 6th Street. So it's very important to us. Gillian, I've come here as a child, and now have the opportunity to invest a significant amount of my hard-earned money into the city. I understand you have no control, but in full transparency, you were being transparent about everything, but was the deal never went out to bid? So when you came in, you went right to the bank, correct?
That's how business is done.
I understand. I'm a
Why did you
developer
not make an
myself.
announcement? It was a full
but-
town, the city could know.
Excuse me, if I could speak, you can have the floor later. But really, what I'm trying to
Sir,
understand
just
is
one second. Blame me. Listen, at the end of the day, I'm the mayor, I own the park. It's gone. So again, when you want to go back and think, what did I do 3 or 4 years ago? Believe me, if I would have known things 10 years ago, I would do things different. We're in today. And that's what I ask for everybody. Open your minds, open your hearts, and instead of just, this is what I want and this is my opinion, this is what it is right now. The gentleman bought it, he gave me plenty of time, he did something that nobody would have done. Because I had a lot of people that were trying to knock me out for a number of years. He was the one that came forward, put the money down, and gave us an opportunity. So again, we don't know what he's going to do in 6 months. It might be rooms with some rides, it might be rides. Nobody knows. So before we start jumping and judging, he bought the property. He's entitled as a private citizen who owns a property, just like all you are. I'll never forget, I had somebody who was with a historic district, was so adamant about it. As soon as they wanted to sell their house, they took herself out of it. So again, you never know what people and families go through. And again, obviously my life's transparent out there that none of you guys have gone through like I have. You never know what someone's going through. And that's why I don't like social media so much, because everybody seems to be an expert on me. They have no idea what my family and I are going through. No, I don't know what your bank account is. Nobody else is. So at the end of the day, I think I'm being pretty transparent, open here. Anyone that knows me, I've done everything I can. And believe me, moving forward, I'm sure Mr. Meter is going to do everything he can to be what's right for Ocean City. Some people don't like it, some people don't. I mean, but we have to be, if we're a community, we got to all work together and stop with this. This is what I want, and tell me what you want right now. Because you know what? Whether we buy a property or whether we do whatever, whether you like Keith or I, you want him to be mayor or I don't know, that's democracy.
I've already tried that. I'm council.
Okay, I hope you stay council, please. Because we're a great team together. And that, you know what, and that's the thing too. You think of all the crap that we've been through, I should say. I mean, what we've been through. But you know what? We're both gentlemen, and we can sit here and we do what's right for Ocean City. So you guys can, everybody can put us against each other. But at the end of the day is, with council and all that, we put our differences beside. He might have a different way of running things, but we still love Ocean City. And what he's doing is great. But again, that's one thing that agitates me all the time, is to think that this is an easy situation. This man has put millions of dollars up. He's going to take some time. He could just come up forward and do what he did. We're talking about next to Wonderland. It was an option. Disney failed 4 times, bankrupt 4 times. So you gotta let these dreamers and these people who want to invest in Ocean City, give them a chance. You never know what they might do. It might turn Ocean City. So I mean, you go.
You might come back with a great plan.
Who knows? But you have to have an open mind if you want to be here.
For sure. So,
Sorry.
Not a big deal, but my question really has to do with you both, because you both have a decision in, a granting a use variance for that property. I think I can speak for other owners of businesses along 6th Street. It's that, it's obviously super packed during peak months, but the beach is so packed too, and it's so small. Is there something that needs, you have to move the surf beach? I mean, there's so much in my mind that would need to happen on a developer by trade in order to get something like that to actually work in that area. I mean, are you both on board for a use variance for that property if he decides he's going to do, a 100-unit multi-family property?
It goes to the boards. It goes to the boards, and it'll be public. And it's not us making decisions. It's you guys. Something this big, this magnitude, is going to come to the people. So I mean, if it comes up from the zoning board or planning board, you guys can come in and say something. And it's they're not listening. They will listen. Again,
it's pretty clear you guys will listen for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
So look, they have the law on their side too. So I mean, there's again, everybody wants to come up with opinions and all that kind of stuff. But planning and zoning board do the best job that they can with the laws. But it's up to council. They're the legislative. If they want to change the laws, they can. Look, the mayor and minister, we run it, we work together, but with the laws, that's what's so great about today. He's listening to everybody, and we can change a lot of that stuff.
So under the current rules, a hotel is not allowed on the boardwalk. There's only 2 ways that hotel will be on the boardwalk. 1, if the city changes the on-boardwalk zoning rules, or 2, META goes before the planning board, and the planning board says, okay. They're the only 2 ways that will ever happen.
And in each case, I imagine the people have an opportunity to speak their mind.
Yeah, this is huge.
Anybody else?
The mayor had said that, and I'll just reiterate it. This will be an extremely public process. You're correct in what you just said. And everybody's going to have an opportunity to speak at those boards. So you're speaking here now, nothing's going to change. I'm going to have a meeting like this hopefully every 3 months. We're going to go over a variety of things that will always be on the front burner of what's going to happen here. So nothing's going to be hidden. Do I answer Bill's question? Of course I want to have the amusement park there. And I hope that's what he does. I don't know what he's going to do. I prefer not to have a hotel. I've stayed at that numerous times. But, he may come in with something where it's a small hotel and a ton of rides. Well, if it works and it's not intrusive and it gets it done, we'll consider anything he brings. But we don't, none of us, I can tell you, I speak for all the council people, none of us want a huge mega hotel. And everybody said it. I mean, I've heard it over and over again. In fact, when we were running, we had a shindig up there at the school where we all gave our opinions and answered questions, and everybody up there said they didn't want a high-rise hotel. That's about as public as you're going to get, and that was just in April. It's just, as public as you can get. But at the same time, I want to see what META comes back with. Can we be flexible and get our cake and eat it too? Well, yeah, we'll take a look at it if he comes with something back where we get rides and we may have to give a little on the other end. And that's just business, but we don't know if that's going to happen. But you're all going to know when it happens.
Amen.
You're all going to know. Okay? Nothing's going to be hidden. But we're on a 6-month term. META's going to come in, and everybody will get to talk, and we'll see where we go. So, I think the mayor's been extremely transparent about the process and how it's going to work, and we're all in tune to it. We're all in tune to it. We all love Wonderland. He loves it way more. It's his pride and joy in his life. But we all have memories there, and we'll do everything in our power to make sure that rides are there if that is a possibility. We don't know what he's going to come back with. But for our money, yes, we'd like to see rides there. I think we all agree.
Hi, thank you very much. My name is Kevin. Nice to meet you, neighbors. My question has nothing to do with anything we've been talking about, so everyone can take a deep breath and let it out for a second. I am talking about the electric bicycles, the scooters, the everything that teenagers and preteens are riding around, not knowing traffic laws, putting our own well-being in danger as well as their own well-being. These vehicles, they are vehicles, are not registered, they're not identifiable, and it puts a lot of tension on us as drivers. I work in education during the school year, and I drive Lyft and Uber during the summer. Some of y'all might have been in my car. You recognize the back of my head, probably. And I say this jokingly, but I know of a couple instances this summer where children were hit on their bicycles. I don't know if all of them were electric, but I know that these electric vehicles can move very, very quickly. And in discussing this with my riders, these children probably don't ride around city grids where they have to stop every once in a while, if they ride at all during the other 9 months of the year. So my question is there anything that Ocean City can do to protect these children and to protect people that are driving around? Thank you.
So a lot of it's controlled by the state, but I just spoke with Donnie while you were talking, and we will get back and talk about it some more. I was not on council when they there was a ban, trying to ban them on the boardwalk, and a lot of people came out who were elderly and said it's the only way that they could get around. So at that time, council elected not to ban them on the boardwalk. I'm certain, and I can speak for the entire council. I'm sure we would take it up and talk about it again and try to come up with a solution. I do think it's a problem, so we'll put it on the front burner and see where we go. With that.
Hello, I'm Nelson. My question is, first of all, a statement. The scripture says, a crown does not endure for all generations. Most of us would probably love to see Mr. Gillian retain his crown for his father's sake and his grandfather's sake. Plus, I believe that Wonderland is a special property. My question is, from a law standpoint, I was in real estate, and if I was representing Mr. Mita, I would say, first things first is get the zoning approved so your 10 million becomes 30 million. If I was representing the city, I would say immediately go for the eminent domain,
yes,
pay current price, and then the city would control specifically what happens. I'm not against Mr. Mita making proposals, but I do know that the budget of Ocean City could support easily keeping that exactly the way it is, under public use. And my question to the city solicitor, does the Constitution of New Jersey, which is the fundamental law, other than the U.S. Constitution, does that permit a simple vote by council to condemn the property and put it into everyone's hands that's a taxpayer?
I'll go to my expert.
In theory, City Council has the power to condemn that property. It is a much more complicated process than you're portraying it as. But in theory, Council has the power to condemn the property and become the owner of the property.
Can I go, Keith?
Yep.
First of all, is Jay still here?
Here, right here.
Jay,
Trying to get the
I admire you and respect you for being here today. I don't know how you're doing it. You yourself are going to a city will never be forgotten. 94 years to have that amusement park and have to give it up. I don't know how you do it. And I know you've tried everything, more than a lot of people in this room know. And it's going to be a challenge for me. It's going to be a challenge. But I don't think people understand today is how expensive rides are. I don't think people, Jay knows better than I do, but I'm going to throw a number. Probably to build an amusement park like Playland would be about $50 million, just so you know. And before I get to my question,
my thoughts and prayers go out for your family, Jay, every single day. And I think everybody should. That's number one. But the one question I have for you, and only you can answer this if you want, is there structural issues with the piers and the pilings? I always worry about that when something's going to be built on.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, the rumor mill.
Yeah, people were saying that online for sure.
You cannot open an amusement park. You can't do anything without an engineer. So every year I get an engineer to certify the deck. So I mean, that's what I say, the regulations and all that kind of stuff to maintain that. But I mean, that was the rumors too. And that's the one thing I laugh a little bit about is, over the last 4 years, the nastiness that came from so many people about how bad it looked and all that kind of stuff. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, we can't live without it. So I know that's a little sarcastic, but you know, I don't look at social media. People tell me about it. But I mean, when things are starting to go bad, it's like, okay, when it goes bad, then they want to go back in time. And the eminent domain thing, we saw what happened at 16th Street. We had a $9 million deal. It turned into more. Mm-hmm. So eminent domain is not just as easy as that, especially for a location like that, because it's a value. You might agree with it, and it goes to the court. I mean, we've been through this a couple of times now. And it is, everyone thinks, oh, we'll go city, 15 million, that's it, it's done, it's ours, we can just make it a big park, do whatever we want with it. But again, you have to understand that it is not that simple. And if it goes to a judge, you know, again, we've been through all this kind of stuff, and hopefully people are paying attention to what the facts are of what we've been doing through here. But to me, the mayor eminent domains it with the council, I mean, my God, you guys would destroy it. So, I mean, at the end of the day is, you have to understand the value of it, what could it be, and again, we're sitting here trying to look into the future. None of us know what's going to happen. We don't know what this gentleman's going to do. I can only tell you what he has done. He gave us an opportunity. I tried everything. And again, so if we move forward, hopefully, again, with his thing, I know whatever he brings forward is probably going to be the best for the city. And the one thing that people don't understand is why. They can come up with all these reasons. And again, Mike back there who works at Playland, Ocean City's changed a lot over the years. It doesn't have the same demographics. It's not opening the doors up and all these people here. The kids, they go on their phone, where do we want to stay tonight? They're not going Saturday to Saturday. And between council and with tourism, we've looked at everything. I know, Roz, you're shaking your head. Ocean City's changed. The boardwalk has come down a little bit. The downtown is thriving. Now this summer, I know, this summer was a beautiful weather, so downtown they didn't have the rainy cloud days like they usually have. So there is so much that goes involved in it. Just say, let's save Wonderland, let's do it. You have to think to yourself, over the last 10 years, what happened? Well, you can blame me for whatever decisions or rides not looking good and all that kind of stuff, but it's, where are the people here? So if people are not renting their houses out, they come down 1 or 2 times. So, I mean, rents are high. There are so many reasons why the economy in Ocean City is the way it is, and we as council, we look into that. We don't just come off our mouth and just say, hey, this is what it is. We've hired experts, we hired consultants. What's the trend? And these kids in this generation, it's a whole new world now. And again, being 60, it's unbelievable how Ocean City is changing. Hopefully it's for the better. I think Ocean City is unbelievable right now, and I'm not patting myself back. I have a great team. I'm going to tell you something. Council's been unbelievable. So if these are our issues, they're good. We all got to work with it. But I mean, at the end of the day, is you got to be very careful when you start giving opinions out there without facts, because I'll tell you, it's difficult. We're a $100 million corporation now, and what we're doing today, talking about zoning and planning, is a start. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. I'm going to say this in the domain. I'll do everything in my power to avoid that, because the pitfalls of it, we didn't have the time to go through it, folks. You got to trust us on this one. You know, I'm praying to be to bring something back that's working, because we have very little control. And if you look at the 16th Street lot, we have one of them that hasn't even settled yet. So part of it's settled, part of it hasn't. And when we get, and I'm not going to talk about a number because I don't want to affect it, but I think it's going to be mind-blowing that we get to that point. So I pray every day that we never have to go through that again. And for the council, it wasn't that bad, but for the administration, holy smokes. And you know, and Mrs. McCrossin, we go into closed session on this, and you just want to cry. So, you know, we've just got to, we've said it a million times, we have to give Mr. Mita a chance. He understands what this all means, okay? He does. But I can't tell you what it's going to be. What I can tell you is that he's going to listen to this meeting and he's going to take it into heart. And whatever he does, I'll say this because I know him and I like him. I mean, I don't disagree with him, but that's part of the process, okay? Whatever he does, it's going to be first class. That I'm going to guarantee, okay? Whatever it is. If you don't believe me, go down to our common property, grab something to eat, and you'll be pleasantly surprised. Approved by my girlfriend, so that's even better because she's tough on food. But do you have any other questions?
Anybody questions?
Right here.
Questions? Oh, here we go.
Hi. So I just want to say, like, I understand, I think a lot of us understand now we have to really wait that 6 months and that there are going to be hearings and we'll have an opportunity to talk, but there were a lot of people here today. The Zoom, I'm told, filled up. There were more people that couldn't even get into the Zoom. And I think that a big part of that is because people care so much about this property. We all have so many memories of this property, and it's not just the property, it's how it's going to affect the whole area around it, some of the historic homes, the beaches, everything, the businesses on the boardwalk if the zoning were to be changed. And I think the reason that we're here anyway, 6 months in advance, is to, for many of us, I'm sure not all of us, but for many of us, express that sentiment to you, to the mayor, to the people who will ultimately have the power to make the decision, even after hearing everybody out, that you're hearing it now, even this far in advance, that people do care, and that I think that the overwhelming majority do not want to see this zoning changed. And also to make sure that you guys are having an open mind, because if you don't change the zoning, you have an owner who's maybe stuck with a property that he can't do what he wanted with. You said the government can't tell me what to do with my house, but you're probably not going to let me open a big store there in the middle of a residential block, right? The government can tell me that, and I think you guys can tell him no to a hotel. And that a lot of us want to see that answer down the road. And that in the meantime, that maybe you guys be as open as possible to ideas coming from the various groups as they reach out to you in that interim, like Mr. Merritt, asking questions, brainstorming about things that maybe people can do together if he no longer wanted to own the property. Maybe it's not eminent domain, but if he's in a situation where he can't build a hotel and that's all he wanted to do, and there are groups out there that have other ideas, maybe council and the mayor and the zoning people can help facilitate that happen through another group. Yeah.
Seeing if we can pull people up on Zoom, so give us a couple seconds.
Well, you do that really important question for those of us still in the room. Where's the bathroom? I'm sure I'm not the only one thinking that.
It's basically like right underneath you, so.
Downstairs.
Down the stairs, or straight back. Oh, you can cheat if you want to go this way. If you want to go this way, then as soon as you come out the doors to your left. So either way.
That service your area. My father grew up south of Forest Brother ice cream on the boardwalk, and I've been visiting for almost 31 years. And my son and my sister's children of my generation, participants in Ocean City culture and visiting over it. It's very emotional for me to see this change potentially occur. I'm relieved that the public seems to share my sentiment and that the mayor has made so much effort to maintain the property, and I'm hopeful that
Mita said 6 months, you know, it could be 7, it could be 5, but somewhere in that, I think we'll stick to it. He doesn't have a drop dead date yet, because there's a lot for him to look at. So he's going to do it as fast as he can, as efficiently as he can, but he's called it about a 6-month window, and we'll certainly, beyond that, make sure that happens at that time period. As far as a historical designation, we don't, it's a private property, right? They would have to go do that. How's that?
He could apply for that, but that would be counter to his
He could apply for it, but whether he will or he won't, I can't answer that question because I don't know. I have to wait 6 months.
Yes. Go ahead. Thank you. This weekend, this morning, there are families all over the Northeast that are deciding where they're going next summer because Ocean City has lost its amusement park. You can't get back those people. This is not a business that we're off 1 year and they'll come back the next year. They're actually making choices and looking for that next Ocean City. We have to maintain that. My question is where does it come from that someone gets 6 months? I'm not talking about
he owns it.
He has no obligations to come to us. I think he did a great job for every year. But our public officials, what are they doing to make incentives for Mr. Meter to keep the producing for around? What state money are they getting? What city funds are they getting? We have to go and have the pressure on them to say, the way this has to work for this city is going to be an amusement park. What is being done? If things aren't done and those people go elsewhere and those rental properties are not full, Ocean City is not a place that has foreclosures. You couldn't find foreclosures. And that's what the future will be. It happened in the 80s in Asbury Park. It's happened in Atlantic City. What are our government officials doing to incentivize people to keep an amusement park?
Go ahead, can you answer the question for the 15?
It's his property. I don't know if we have to incentivize him. I don't know. He wants to take 6 months. That's his right. He owns it. And we're saying, okay, great, take 6 months and look at it every which way it's Sunday, and we'll see what he comes back with. I have no ability at all to tell him he's got to tell me in 2 months. Okay?
I'm not asking that. What I'm saying is, give them an incentive. Let's call it what it is. When they see when the casinos, they gave a tremendous amount of incentives. You don't have the right to tell them what to do, but you can make it easier or hard. You know what? You can tell us when we get in this meeting where you put the pool, parking fire. We have ways to control these things and get Mr. Mita, helping Mr. Mita and his CB's work to make this amusement park. Oh, it's not only him, it helps us. And you have to do something in those 6 months. Because that's what we, where your folks be not sitting on in 6 months because come February, everybody's deciding where they're going for the summer. We get out and we know. We're going to do incentives. How it's going, there's going to be financial incentive. Gets a lot of money from what Ocean City produces in the summer, and obviously the city does. They have, I'm not a politician, I don't know how these things work, but you guys know you have to get those incentives for it to build an amusement park or maintain an amusement park. I think that's really expensive for 6 months. That's really the work of it now. Not telling you what to do, but convincing him it's an eminent domain is another vehicle. Remind him that there's an eminent domain. Maybe it's not the best thing for us. Maybe we want the right industry, like it was one of the
I talk to Mr. Vita probably once a week. I know the mayor talks to him a lot. He hasn't asked for any incentives. What he's asked for is 6 months. He's going to get back and tell us what he's going to do. So I'm not offering an incentive to a guy who's not asking for an incentive. And quite frankly, Mr. Vita doesn't need an incentive. He's a very wealthy man. So I'm going to give him 6 months. I probably said that now. Becky tells me all the time I repeat myself. Boy, she's watching. She's really counting now. I'm probably up about 99 on this. I'm not offering any kind of incentive to a person that's not asking for an incentive. I'm going to give the person time. He can do what he wants with that property right now, and he's going to come back and tell us what it is.
Any other questions, folks?
Yes.
Hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. 2 questions, not about Wonderland. One is the traffic on West Avenue.
Thank you.
Maybe if there was enforcement tickets given out, we would see the folks going down way more. Second question, back on April
historical signs to be addressed? Is that the big
Dan, there's a lot for me to chew there. What I'm going to tell her is, please send me an email at khartzell, okay, at ocnj.us. Yes.
Back on April 5th, 2023, I got an email from the mayor saying we're on it. I'm still waiting.
Okay, well, send me one and I'll take care of it. You're welcome.
Any other questions from Facebook or Zoom? Any other folks on Zoom have a question? Okay, Keith, back to you, buddy.
Thanks, everybody, for coming. I appreciate it. I'm up here. If anybody has any other questions, you can certainly catch Dottie or George on the way out if you have something specific that you want to talk to them about. There's a lot here that we've listened to. We appreciate it. And we'll see you in 3-4 months.
Wow. Hey, I had to get off that last live, man. I ain't gonna be before y'all too long, man. I had to get off that last live. I got copyrighted, so they cut the video, cut the song. They cut it. I knew they was gonna do it. Yo, what up, what up, what up? The Madden God is in the building. The Madden God is in the house, man. Yo, I was in there listening to the Miley Cyrus last song, man, of my last live. I just got it got cut because of copyright, so I gotta be careful, y'all. Gotta be careful with that copyright. What it do, man? God, what it do? Shabata Mitch is in the building. He need no introduction, man. He need no introduction, man. I'm headed to my place in Georgia, man. He said I just changed my content as well. That's what you gotta do. Hey, no worries, man. No worries, man. I got you, KC. KC, I'm gonna make sure I go over there and give you a follow, man, for sure. Definitely gonna come over there and give you a follow. How often do you play? How often do you play? I'm gonna screenshot this so I could I forget I can't have them. Welcome, man. Oh, you're welcome. But then I'm not gonna be, man, up in here because we have the Georgia ride. I'm probably about from my house here in Georgia. And you know, out, man, a while to work, get back.